on the diamond, and that's great. Left field, right field, first base, bench. And if it's right now, Connor Joe's a part of your bench every day. That's great.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? Hour one of Jon and Jim. Your national nightmare is over. I'm back, Jim. 20 hours straight last week.
Dude.
Sans Jon. Now, I know Brent was there to be, at your side, but I am back from Jackson Hole. Yeah, I took the week off before the Super Bowl. I mean, it's not like
nothing was going on.
Yeah, it's the Super Bowl, and we watched
Super Bowl this week. I'm going to take the week off.
Whatever. So I'm back, and Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, will join us today. He's going to be joining us 3 times a week beginning this week. So we'll get you ready for the season with Kevin Acee Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Jon and Jim. So Kevin's going to join us at 3. We'll get into the Aztecs. They lost on Saturday night. J.D. Luster, San Diego State assistant coach, will join us at 3:30. Cynthia Freeland to put a bow on the most uninteresting Super Bowl ever, which I think for a lot of people is probably what they were hoping for, the Chiefs' domination, this idea of a three-peat. I mean, this thing was not even competitive by and large, as you said in the update. So we can start there. I mean, everyone's watching. Honestly, by the fourth quarter, I wonder how many people had tuned out, even by the second half. I mean, if you're not an Eagles fan, if you're not a Chiefs fan, after the halftime show, are you even there in the second half? I mean, this thing was so one-sided. This felt like 1990. There was that stretch of Super Bowls, but I mean, this thing couldn't have been more one-sided.
I didn't even make it to the fourth quarter.
Well, there you go.
3 minutes left in the third quarter. I was like, yeah, it's done.
So wait, how was your trip to Jackson Hole?
It was great, man.
Your skiing trip.
It was good, dude. Skied.
How many times did you
It sounds
ski?
like you should have been fly fishing.
How many times did I ski? I went down the slopes 2 times.
Oh, wow.
I went up 2 times and I came down 2 times. And it's amazing I survived.
Because everything on your Instagram story I saw
you
was
would have thought
every
I was
day.
Bodie Miller.
Yeah, just every day skiing.
Yeah, I was slaloming.
Slaloming?
Is that even a word?
Did you tube down any slopes?
I did tubing with my 5-year-old. He skied. I mean, it was good. I will say this. When I left Jackson Hole on Friday, and they've got this like airport that's just like, I mean, February in Jackson Hole, it snows every single day, right? Like you're in the middle of Wyoming. You're in the mountains. You're at 7,000 feet of elevation.
Are you lucky to be back?
I think I am. Like we took off in a driving snowstorm where you're on the tarmac for like 2 hours and they're de-icing the plane. And the pilot at one point came back in a commercial aircraft. This is before we took off, and he looked out the windows. Like, what are we looking at? Like, you're the pilot.
Okay to go.
So, and going up, man, I was just crossing. I was like, if this is how it ends, then this is how it ends. I kind of wanted to get here to talk about Connor Joe and Jason Heyward, but it was a good trip. It's good to be back. And
you had a much better trip and a much better experience over the week than the Chiefs did last night in the Super Bowl.
And also you had maybe last week. So I go away for a week. And literally, I was thinking about this every day. Nothing happened. Now, there's the Luka trade, which bought you some time. And then there was the Connor Joe acquisition on Friday at like 2 p.m.
Man, 4 hours on Connor Joe. Did not think I could do that.
But then you missed Jason Heyward because he was signed or reportedly signed Friday night. So you couldn't discuss that on the Friday show.
I couldn't. That happened, around 8 p.m.-ish?
I was almost hoping to go back in the air Friday night.
No, I didn't want to look at a microphone for at least 48 hours.
We'll get to the Super Bowl. Let's start there because Dennis Lynn wrote something interesting today in The Athletic, and Kevin Acee is going to join us coming up at 3 p.m. Dennis writes this. He wrote a profile. Did you see this profile? He wrote on every pitcher in camp. Non-roster invite.
All right, Mike Schilt.
Or major league player. Right. Exactly. Schilt talked about every single major leaguer last week, and you played it.
Have you listened to that yet?
No, but I need to hear it.
It's amazing.
I will hear it. So Dennis Lynn wrote about either 36 or 39 pitchers. Within that article, which I didn't fully read, but thankfully Talking Friars Ben Fadden did. Within that article, Dennis writes this. Besides arms, controllable ones in particular, they are still seeking multiple bats and potentially some payroll relief. They might trade a prominent pitcher or two, even if the idea seems counterintuitive. So far, basically the major league moves are what? Connor Joe, flyer deal, $1 million. Maybe a fourth outfielder, maybe a platoon with Jason Heyward. We don't know the terms of Heyward, maybe $1 or $2 million. That's it.
Elias Diaz?
Elias Diaz.
Is it Elias or is it Elias?
I call him Elias.
I think it's pronounced Elias.
If he calls in and corrects me, that'll change it.
We'll find out soon from
Schulte?
When we hear.
What's he going to call him? Diaz-y?
Probably. When Don and Mud
pronounce his name.
On February 22nd or whatever against the Mariners.
Right.
So, okay, so you have Diaz, you have Connor Joe, you have Jason Heyward reportedly. They're not done. They're not, like, when I read this from Dennis Lynn, you think they're done. I don't think they're near done. I don't think they are near done.
I don't
you
think
said
they're
in the
done.
wrap-up show, I thought last night you thought they were done.
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No. I don't even really remember what I said on the wrap-up
thought
show.
you did. Maybe you didn't. I thought you did.
I did say last week I didn't think they were going to make any sizable moves.
Maybe that's what I heard you say.
Heading into spring training. And once you get to spring training, you got some guys that are probably going to get opportunities at spots that they're going to look at and then determine pretty quickly on if they're going to pivot or not. And instead of, maybe give this guy a chance, or hey, we need to go out. We need to size some guys. But
sure.
No, they signed Connor Joe Friday afternoon. Then they reportedly signed Jason Heyward on Friday night. And that's where we sit at right now, is their moves this offseason are Connor Joe, Jason Heyward, Elias Diaz, that one pitcher from Chicago, Marciano.
Oh, yeah. That we
can't pronounce his last name.
An update for 6 straight hours or whatever. Yeah.
And then a bunch of minor league signings to see if something can stick. And that's it.
I think they're not done. And I think the payroll, and I think the payroll's coming down. I mean, that's a non-roster invite.
Sure.
And they have 20 of those. I think the payroll's coming down, and I think they're making a move. And I don't know if it's Dylan Cease or Michael King. In fact, I'd probably be surprised if it was Michael King. I'd even be surprised at this point if it was Dylan Cease, but someone like Robert Suarez, someone like Jay Cronenworth. Like, I believe that there's no way this was the plan. And you go back to a year ago, I think Dennis had it maybe in this article. Maybe it was Kevin, and Kevin will join us at 3. 12 of the 26 in their postseason roster weren't here by this date a year ago. 12 of the 26 weren't here by this time a year ago. So just knowing Preller's DNA and his track record, I don't think they're anywhere near done.
Were they, a finished product at this time last year? No, they were not. Are they better now than they were at this time last year? Yeah, they are. But this is a completely different situation. We're not talking about this time last year before the start of the 2024 season. We're talking about, are they a better team than the end of last year?
Sure.
Are they a better team than they were at the end when they lost to the Dodgers in Game 5 of the NLDS? Are they a better team after coming off 93 wins? The answer to me is unequivocally no, they are not. They are not a better team than they were at the end of last season, which to me is what I look at, not the beginning of the season last year. And it's a risky proposition to go into a year with a platoon of 2 guys that just aren't really inspiring at all.
I think I said it last night in the wrap-up show to start the show.
In left field.
I think it's the oddest platoon that I can recall in like recent baseball history to start a year for a quote-unquote contender. Now, again, Connor Joe and Jason Heyward don't have to be Jurickson Profar. I mean, maybe they're not, because I don't think they will be combined. Anything close to Jurickson Profar, maybe ultimately you move on from one of them or even both of them, and it's Tirso or Nealis, or it's someone else that they've added as a non-roster invite. But it is a bizarre. I said this last night too. It's like you have a test that's due and you hand it in and you're not getting an A or a B. You're hoping for a C. You're just hoping to pass. There's no world where you're getting an A or a B. That's what it feels like to me. Connor Joe's a good story. Right, out of USD, he's had a nice career. He's been a good fourth
cancer
outfielder.
Survivor, San Diego's own.
He's been a good fourth outfielder. Jason Heyward's had a really good career, but he's also 36 years of age and has been waived by his last 2 clubs, essentially. He was waived by the Cubs. He was waived by the Dodgers. So I just think it's very wishful. Now, we would have said the same thing last year with Profar. I mean, I wouldn't have told you had a 4 or 5 war season heading in, but it just feels like to emulate Profar with a platoon of Connor Joe and Jason Heyward, you better be looking for production elsewhere, because it's not realistic that Connor Joe and Jason Heyward give you what Jurickson Profar gave you.
And I do think that's what this Padres team is doing, which is looking for production elsewhere.
Right.
Looking from what they have from within. You made a good point the other night on the wrap-up show when the Padres tweeted out if the Super Bowl ended, which every team in person did. It's baseball season. Our time is now.
Right.
They tweeted out a video, the Padres. And in that video, to your credit, at the very end, it was like their slogan is, look what we still have. We have Manny. We have Tatis. We have Jackson Merrill. We have Yu Darvish. We have good pieces. And they do.
They do.
Absolutely do. And you're going to need a couple of those pieces who have not been good the last couple of years to step up because to think that lightning's going to strike twice with Jason Heyward and Connor Joe now and Elias Diaz, that's kind of wishful thinking. Hope we're wrong, but it's to ask a bunch of dumpster diving signings to once again, like last year, to perform at that level, to fill the voids and fill the holes that were lost this offseason. It's a pretty big ask.
I kind of like your point of like, where were you to finish last year? Not fully finish it, but you went into the postseason thinking you had Joe Musgrove. He gets shut down, has Tommy John. You had a Hassan Kim that was basically an everyday player for 4 years. He's no longer here. You had a catcher that produced a year ago. I mean, it was a complete upside, bright side acquisition in Higgy. He's no longer here. So, I mean, you don't have Jurickson Profar, who was an all-star a year ago in the National League. It's like, at what point is it too many dominoes and it pushes the others over? And I'm not saying it's now. I'm not saying Higgy and Kim and Profar and Musgrove equals pushing all the dominoes down. But aren't you teetering? Without Joe Musgrove, who's a borderline ace, without Jurickson Profar, who's an all-star, without your starting catcher, without your starting shortstop, I mean, you're getting thinner. That's been the knock on Preller. He doesn't have complete full 26-man rosters. He did a year ago. He had a damn good team that nearly got to an NLCS and even a World Series, but they didn't. This team is not as deep as it was in 2024. Now, the season doesn't start tomorrow either, and that's why I don't think he's done. I don't think he's going to have the same roster as last year, but I just don't think he's done.
Yeah, he's still working.
Yeah.
There's still some things you got to do in that piece by Dennis today, and we'll talk to Kevin later in the show at 3 p.m. I agree with you. I don't think they're done. I think AJ is still going to be trying to make some moves. If they don't make any moves, okay,
Right.
so be it. But it doesn't mean he's not going to still try. He absolutely is going to still try to make moves. You know, going into this into spring training though, signing just somebody to get a warm body in here to be in left field and see what they got. That's kind of what I feel like it is, hey, these are completely low risk signings. They're going to cost us nothing. If they don't pan out to be anything, it's like when they signed Nelson Cruz for $1 million and then they released him. Like, yeah, this ain't it. You know, thank God. And we haven't seen the terms for Jason Heyward's contract yet, but thank God it doesn't seem like either of these signings are, $5 million for 1 year or $6 million for a year, like it was with Matt Carpenter. Oh my God, that was awful. Well, so if it's a 1 year, $1 million deal, like Connor Joe's is, same with Jason Heyward, hopefully, then again, if they don't produce, then all right, put someone else in there.
All right, much more on this. Again, Kevin Acee will join us at 3 p.m. We have great giveaways today, including Aztec tickets for a massive game Saturday against Boise State at Viejas Arena. We have other giveaways as well. On the other side, though, back to last night's Super Bowl, what impact does it have on the debate, right? The greatest of all time quarterback debate. What impact does it have? We'll discuss on the other side. Here until 6 is Jon and Jim. right, San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the grand in your hand cash contest. That's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword at the top of every hour. Enter it at sportssd.com. We have Aztec tickets to give away. We also have Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. He'll join us at 3 p.m. You mentioned this last night on the wrap-up show. It had nothing to do with baseball, but the most misleading line for a quarterback ever was Patrick Mahomes last night.
Easily.
Right? He finishes with a 95 passer rating.
What?
He was 21 of 32 in the game.
With
three touchdowns, 2 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd, obviously. I mean, if you watch the game, you know what happened. And he had an awful game. So at the end of the day, listen, Brady wasn't perfect in Super Bowls. He was 7-3, right?
7-3.
Mahomes is now 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
If you compare the numbers, I was just doing it. Like Mahomes has 46 touchdown passes in his postseason career to 10 picks, including last night, where Brady had 88 career touchdowns in the postseason to 40 picks. He's 4.5 to 1. Mahomes, where Brady was 2 to 1, touchdowns to picks. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to win rings, and he's going to be 30 next year. How big of a derailment is this in the Brady Mahomes conversation? What happened last night?
In Super Bowls, Patrick Mahomes has 10 touchdowns thrown and 7 interceptions.
Okay.
So, in the postseason in his career, he's incredible.
He's been ridiculous.
But in Super Bowls, he's trailed in every single game by a minimum 10 points. Every single one.
Yeah, the 2 losses and the 3 wins.
His quarterback rating in Super Bowls is now down in the mid-80s overall.
So he lifted that last night?
Well, no, did he?
He had 95 last night.
Anyway, overall, it's not great. Like, he hasn't had a Super Bowl. I think maybe the Eagles won a couple years ago. He was really good in.
He was really good in that game.
But every other Super Bowl, he was
yeah.
been average. And then last year, he kind of turned it on in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Man, my experience watching the game last night, Aaron could not have been more happier to watch the demise in that single game of Patrick Mahomes. I've never heard her say things out of her mouth.
She was cursing
like she was saying about Patrick Mahomes. She was just ripping him a new one.
Really?
It was hilarious to watch. She was like, F you effing suck, you Kermit the Frog looking loser. Like, it was
wow.
It was next level from Aaron. I was very
from
proud.
South Jersey.
Yeah, I was very proud of her.
Well, I don't think that, like, this isn't the demise of Patrick Mahomes.
No,
like,
it's not.
He'll be back. But again, when you try to get to 7, like, there's not a lot of margin with 7. 7's some ridiculous number. He's going to be in his 30s. He won 3 in his 20s, which is absurd. You're going to go get 4+ over the next decade? Like, that's a lot to ask of anyone in the history of the league.
If anything, this puts a massive dent in it, because you can't have that game and when it's all said and done, be discussed in the same conversation of, like, I'm the greatest of all time.
I thought he was awful. I honestly, as bad as the offensive line was, I thought Mahomes was equally as bad. He made some awful throws, poor decisions, right? Did he not?
It was.
And now, again, he was under pressure, but he could not have been worse.
It was way worse than the Bucs loss.
Way worse.
And now the comparison doesn't match up fully because LeBron hadn't won a championship.
Yeah.
But if you look at LeBron's finals against the Mavericks, the first year he's in Miami, and
they lost,
and like just how uncharacteristic he looked out there. I kind of look at Mahomes last night as like a little similar as far as, like, the perceived greatest of all time talk. You're like, that's a big dent on your resume, dude. Unless you come back and have a next 10 years where you win, you go 3-0 in Super Bowls, right? It's a little different there. I heard this comparison and I thought it was good. Like, instead of saying Mahomes is like Tom Brady, he's not. He's more closer to Peyton Manning now than he is to Tom Brady. Still all-time greats, but Manning's had some really bad Super Bowls in there as well. The Super Bowl against the Seahawks in New York
where they didn't do anything,
was kind of like last night's game against the Eagles, where just from the jump,
nothing went their way.
You know nothing was going to go their way. Yeah. Besides the first play of the game for the Chiefs, where they had an 11-yard pass to Juju Smith. Everything after that was, oh God, it was awful. That was an absolute beatdown of epic proportions.
Depending on your age, if you're in your 40s, you remember the era as a kid where every game sucked. There was a 10-year period of time, including that Chargers game against the Niners. I mean, they were all like that. Okay, there was a 10-year run. And then there's been like a 20-year run where a lot of these Super Bowls have been epic, including last year. epic game. And there's been so many of them. The Titans-Rams ending. I mean, there's been so many. There was a 10-year period. None of the games are good. Then there was a 20-year period where, by and large, the games are really good. I just didn't expect it. You have an even point spread. You've got this greatest of all time debate. You have this three-peat looming potentially. I think a lot of people would have completely thought maybe the Eagles at the end of the day beat the Chiefs. That alone isn't shocking, obviously, but the manner in which they beat the Chiefs to me is shocking.
I think we didn't we were blinded by a lot of things with the Chiefs.
As in every game they played was a one-score game that they won?
That when I was talking to Cynthia Freeland on Friday, and I was looking at all the numbers before her coming on, and I was like, hold on. So you got a Chiefs team, take away their record. They scored under 23 points per game. They had no 1,000-yard receiver, no 1,000-yard rusher. Mahomes, I think his quarterback rating was like in the mid to low 90s. He had 26 touchdowns and double-digit interceptions, no 4,000-yard passer. If you just show me the stats of their team, no all-pros, right? You show me the stats, I'd be like, they're 10-7, 10-7 team, and they lost one legitimate game all year long up until the Super Bowl last night. So a lot of things were masked by the sheer fact of, well, they have Mahomes. Like a lot of the breakdown of the game, if you just took away the fact that it's like, oh, it's just Mahomes, everything was pointed to the Eagles. They had a better roster, they had a better line, they had a better defensive line, they had better weapons. The only thing the Chiefs had was Mahomes and Andy Reid. And Spags and Fangio, their defensive coordinators, are basically now on the same level easily.
Well, typically, though, when you have the best quarterback and when you have the best coach, oftentimes that results in a win. I would say this, though, about last night. I think if not for Mahomes' decision-making, the reason they were never in the game was because of Patrick Mahomes, not because of the offensive line, not because of the Eagles' offense. The pick six followed by the pick deep in their own end, that is the reason why they were never in the game. Yep. No other reason. He could have been sacked 10 times. The pick six changed everything. The turnover inside the 20 then changed everything again. I mean, it's one thing. If they were down at the half 10-0, they're going to win the game. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
They were down at the half 24-0. Because of who? Patrick Mahomes. The pick six followed by the terrible pick on the next possession. He just wasn't himself.
So this is going to live with him for a long
time. Absolutely.
And every time now on like the national debate stage, right? When Mahomes is talked about, it's not going to be in the same breath that it was just 48 hours ago. It's not. He's not there. He's not close. He's still an amazing quarterback. If he retired today, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Absolutely. But the talk of greatest of all time, that's now put away until further notice. Like that's not going to be a discussion until Mahomes can go out there and win then 2 or 3 more Super Bowls without having this type of loss be the last thing that's on his Super Bowl resume.
Yeah, and I don't think it gets easier, truthfully. I think Andy Reid isn't going to be doing this for the next decade. I think they'll have changes at coordinators. I think that, honestly, maybe football's caught up. We'll see if that's accurate or not. I mean, you look at what Philadelphia did. Buffalo's been right there. The AFC's been really good.
Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Kansas City can even get back. On the other side, back to the Padres. Is this really the plan in left field or not? Plus, Kevin Acee joins us at 3 p.m. Cynthia Freeland to put a bow on the Super Bowl at 4:30. We're here until 6 p.m. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Superstar Car Wash. Last night, Super Bowl 59, Eagles blew out the Chiefs 40-22. Was not that close. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP, had 3 total touchdowns in the game. Padres over the weekend, according to reports, signed outfielder Jason Heyward. And tonight, Luka made his Lakers debut against the Jazz, 7:15 tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Superstar Car Wash presents random acts of super. Today, they're hooking you up with a free Super Protect car wash. Just text Sunset to 27800 and get a premium wash for free. Stay clean, Superstars. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, Kevin Acee, he's going to be joining us each and every week, each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You could just call Jon and Jim and Kevin. But he will join us today at 3 p.m. I don't know if he's in Peoria yet or not. Padres players report this week, either tomorrow or the next day. I forget when it is. But spring training is here. Kevin Acee will join us coming up at 3 p.m. J.D. Luster, Aztec basketball assistant, great player when he played at Wyoming. Back in the day, he's going to join us at 3:30, and Cynthia Freeland will be on the show at 4:30 from the NFL Network. She predicted when the season started the Eagles would play the Chiefs, and the Eagles would win the Super Bowl, and she was right. Eagles did win the Super Bowl, of course, last night, 40-22. All right, so back to this platoon, because you touched on this on Friday. Connor Joe, USD, again, survivor, cancer survivor, has put together some decent seasons in the big leagues. He really has. He's been a good player at times, but he's in his mid-30s at this point. For a bench piece. Yeah, he's a fourth outfielder. He has carved out a career as a fourth outfielder. Now, you wonder what the Padres' plan, though, is in this signing, because Connor Joe and Jason Heyward could platoon potentially in 2025. They're both going to make like $1 million or $2 million. So maybe that will serve the organization well. It just seems like even a year ago, when we talked about Tommy Pham and Jurickson Profar, I could have sold you on either. I also could have told you why it wouldn't work on either. And here we are a year later. And it's like, this is a further reach to me from Profar Pham discussion of 2024 to Connor Joe, Jason Heyward, 2025. It feels like the organization went further with their reach to put together a starting position player. They're taking 2 players, trying to make them 1 player, even though they didn't produce at all in 2024, either of them.
The last 3 years, they will now have had 3 different outfielders in left, starting with Juan Soto.
Oh, he was good.
He's very good. Then Jurickson Profar, and then now a combination of Jason Heyward and Connor Joe.
Right.
Yeah, if the idea is these 2 players can combine to get you 20 home runs combined, and if they could combine to have around a 700-ish OPS, and then they can combine to, you know, Connor Joe gets on base at a good clip against lefties, right, and then, you know, Jason Heyward can do something against righties. Like, that's fine. Can they do it for an entire season? I'm skeptical on that. If this was a 60-game sprint, right, I think that would be more realistic to think that these guys could put together some really, you know, good, you know, impactful games, that they're just competent and they get them, the Padres, what they need, and they don't look like giant black holes. But over the course of an entire season, I don't know if that's going to be the case. Like, David Peralta was really good for the Padres last year in short bursts,
playing every day with Tatis out, and he actually played more than they expected him to.
They did.
Tatis missed so much time,
and he was good in the short time that he played. Now, yes, he was having every day at bats because of Tatis, but we all sat here waiting and knowing Tatis was going to return. There's not a sitting and waiting for X player in left field to return while Heyward and Joe hold down the fort.
Here's why, like, in theory, your point's right. Like, okay, you say to yourself, well, maybe Connor Joe really hits left-handed pitching as a right-handed batter, or maybe Jason Heyward really hits right-handed pitching. Guess what? They don't.
Not really.
So Connor Joe last year against left-handed pitching, okay?
250?
No, 235.
It's lefties?
235 with 3 home runs.
Oh, that might be
100. No, that's last year.
No, I'm talking about his career number.
Okay, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I get it.
I mean, you got guys in their 30s. Their numbers aren't getting better by and large. You can have some things that happen. You can put things together, but you get the point. I mean, a year ago, that's the most recent data point. He had 235 with 3 home runs and 170 plate appearances against left-handed pitching. Then Jason Heyward, well, maybe he hits right-handed pitching, right? Again, I don't care what he did in 2012. He hit 214 against right-handed pitching in 236 plate appearances. This is your platoon. This is what they did a year ago. By the way, it's not easier to hit at Petco than it is at Coors Field or than it is in a lot of the ballparks across Major League Baseball. So I just think it's tough sledding. I think it's one thing to throw Joe and Heyward out there, but that can't be the plan to replicate Jurickson Profar. You better get it elsewhere. It's just my point. It better be Tatis healthy for 155 or Machado's career year, because you can't expect that to equal 5 WAR.
I agree. It's not going to sink this team. There'll probably be some moments where we're pulling our hair out like, oh my gosh, this. And that's, with throughout the course of an entire season, it happens with every single player. It happened with Machado last year. It happened to the best of them. It just puts that much more pressure on the guys you said, Manny, Tatis, Jackson Merrill, Xander especially, who I think is a huge X factor with this season.
No pun intended?
No pun intended.
I like it.
If those guys don't have all good seasons, and you don't have at least one or two of those guys having like damn near career years, it's going to be tough sledding. Really, it is, because I'm not going to count and sit on the fact that, hey, maybe lightning can strike twice with Connor Joe and Jason Heyward, like it did last year with guys like Solano and Peralta and Profar. To think those things can happen again with new guys, that's tough.
That's a lot. I mean, I give Preller a lot of credit. You do as well for 2024.
All the credit in the world.
And it goes well beyond chance. Like you said, like it's not, okay, they did it in 2024, therefore they can't do it in 2025. Like it's not cards or roulette. But some of it is a little bit like cards or roulette, right? Because GMs hit at what rate on acquisitions? I mean, what's a good clip? 60?
60%, that's pretty high.
So, but think about that. It's like you have a good night at a casino. You hit a couple numbers or you keep winning at blackjack. That doesn't mean the next night at the casino is going to be anything like it. Everyone's had a night where they're up big. You're up $1,000. You're up $500. Everyone's been there, but they've had the same experience the next night where they go through $200 in 10 seconds because it's just not your night. So Preller's had good nights. 2024, 2022. He's had bad nights. 2021, 2023. There's no reason to think he's guaranteed falling out of bed, so to speak, to be able to replicate what he did. I hope he does. But he also has one hand tied behind his back by the organization that hasn't spent a penny.
You know that games that are started with Jason Heyward in left, and you have Jackson Merrill in center, and Tatis in right, and Manny at third, Xander at short, Jake at second, Arise at first, and then Diaz behind the plate. Do you know what all those players have in common?
Major leaguers?
Besides that, John.
On the Padres?
Besides that. They will all have been an all-star at least one time in their career.
That's incredible.
So there will be a moment potentially this year. And if Dylan Cease or Yu Darvish are on the mound, you will have every single position player, not counting your DH.
But that could be, I guess, depending on the night.
Every single position player on the field.
Has Tyler Wade been an all-star?
Nah, no, he's not. Maybe
in Maldonado?
Maybe in MLB 2K25
exactly.
or MLB The Show. But every single one of those players at one point in their career were all-stars. So the Padres will technically have a
all-star team.
All-star team.
You know my retort to that? Baseball, as we know, as you and I know, it just doesn't work like that. I mean, you could have a good 2023 that becomes irrelevant in 2025. Like the difference of a year, shoot, even a season, you could have a good 2024 and then a bad 2025. I'm putting a lot of eggs in the Machado healthy basket because I go back to last year, elbow, won't be fully healthy for a year. Now he's had this good off season. He was scorching hot in the second half of the year. They need the Machado from the second half of the year the day the season starts, March 27th. Like I want to see Manny Machado over the first 30 games of the season hit 9 home runs, which he never does as a Padre, correct?
The start of the season?
Yeah, to start.
He's had 1 year. That was 2020. Was it 2022?
It was 2020. He was really good, but that was fake and short.
I think it was 2022 where he got
started
out to a really hot start.
Okay. But it's rare.
It is rare. Manny needs to have a great season. I think one of either Jackson Merrill or Tatis need to have a really good season. Hell, I think to me, it's Tatis. Tatis has got to put together a damn near MVP-ish type of year. And then Jackson, you just can't have him fall off a cliff. I'm not expecting him to put up the same year that he had last year. That'd be great. I'm not going to doubt the kid. But even if he falls off a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised. Even if he falls off a little bit, instead of hitting almost 300, he hits 275 with 20 home runs and 70 RBI, right? With a 780 OPS. I would take that.
Sure.
Because you saw what happened to Corbin Carroll this past year.
He took a big step back,
Huge.
specifically in the first half. He was awful.
Yeah. Now second half was much better. But imagine what a Corbin Carroll, if he had a good season, would have done for the D-backs.
That's a good point.
Probably in the postseason.
Yeah.
Last year. So you're going to have pieces that are already here, like the Padres are emphasizing. Like, we have this good core.
Yeah.
It's up to them to go out there and perform because that's what we're banking on. We're not banking on Jason Heyward and Connor Joe doing what Jurickson Profar did last year, because that's not realistic. What is realistic and what we're hoping happens is the guys that we have, the guys that we've paid big money to, go out there and put together all-star seasons, because that's what they're getting paid to do. Xander Bogaerts is being paid to be an all-star. Go be an all-star.
Yeah, it's like you already did the work.
Fernando Tatis Jr. is being paid to be an MVP player. Go be an MVP player. Same thing with Manny. Go do that.
It's easy.
Easy.
I'm with you.
So easy.
Much more with Kevin Acee, our Padres insider on the ownership. John Seidler is now officially the chairman. Spring training's about to begin. Kevin Acee joins us at 3 p.m. Miss what?
John
Seidler?
What he looks like?
I saw your tweet. He looks like a guy, right? Like a fan.
I got to give credit. I'm going to give credit to Acee at 3:00 because he's the one that posted the first actual real photo, up-to-date photo of John Seidler.
Which I think he got from the Padres, right?
I would not be surprised.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin Acee will join us at 3 p.m. On the other side, was it a good night for Tom Brady or a bad one? We'll explain on the other side. This is Jon and Jim. Make sure to download it. Use your presets. Put Jon and Jim in there. San Diego Sports 760. That's all we ask.
You still have
I don't
problems?
have the new app.
Okay.
Everyone else can get the app, though. So prove me
Everybody but
wrong.
you.
Like, I've got the iHeart app, but it's not updated with presets. But if you download it right now and put Jon and Jim in your presets, then you've got us. Podcast on demand. Put San Diego Sports 760 in there. You can listen live. So we're on YouTube. We're on the iHeart Radio app. We're on San Diego Sports 760. We stream on Instagram.
Oh, must be nice. Just turn on the iHeart Radio. There you go.
Well, I have the non-updated one. That's why I turned on. All right, Kevin Acee is going to join us coming up at 3 p.m. This is why I said what I said about Brady. From a football perspective, having Mahomes have the night like he had, of course, is beneficial for Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady is not going to benefit from Mahomes winning a third straight Super Bowl and being the first quarterback ever to do that. So this maybe lowers Mahomes down off the pedestal that's right next to Tom Brady's. All right, so that's a win for his football legacy. But I'll tell you, man, as a broadcaster, he may look the part. He's got the $1,000 suit. He's got the $600,000 watch. He's got the chiseled jawline,
dude. Oh my god!
Like it's Tom Brady. He looks the part. He does not say anything that would afford you the chance of thinking that this guy should be providing so much commentary based on his experience. He cannot hold a candle to other commentators in the NFL. I'm watching this game. It's 24-0. It takes him 30 minutes to get to being in a Super Bowl down by a similar score. He doesn't even reference that for a half hour in a 24-point game.
Why do you hate Tom Brady so much?
I just don't think he brings anything to the table. He didn't say one thing last night that I said to myself, oh, that's interesting.
The interview he had with Colin on the Herd on
I think he's good
Friday was incredible. He was loose. He was free. He even cussed a few times. Now, obviously, you can't curse on national television in the Super Bowl, but that interview with Colin, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Where is that in the Super Bowl?
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't think he was awful. I didn't think he was great. I don't really take much from it because it was a bad game.
But what is? Give me okay. Then give me one example?
He's been in a lot of blowout. I know
this year a lot of blowout.
Here's the problem with Tom is a lot of primetime games that he has done this year have been blowouts.
Fair, but this is the Super Bowl. Is there any example you can think of off the top of your head from last night where you're like, oh, that's interesting?
But I never truly paid attention to what Tom was saying.
That's not exactly the greatest thing to say.
But give me one thing that I don't know, Greg Olsen said during his Super Bowl.
I mean, he's very
Burkhardt.
insightful. He provided a lot of perspective. The thing that I think Brady fails to do.
He's no Madden, obviously.
Well, no, but I think he just fails to draw on his 20+ year experience in the league.
Yeah.
Like he's just almost like reacting like, oh, Mahomes was able to get outside the pocket there. Like, great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying the same thing at home. I'm looking for what can you bring? I mean, they're paying him $40 million a year.
I get that.
I think he's getting better than what he was when the season started. He hasn't even done 25 games yet in his career. So I think he's getting better. His main problem was, and it was the same way when he did his first game, he needs to shorten his stories. I remember the first game he did, it was like the Browns and somebody, he would sit there and try and tell some story, but he didn't know enough to, okay, I'm going to start my story, stop, so dude can do the, play, then go back in my story, stop, dude can do play, go back into my story. He just kept doing his story, and then they missed like 3 downs worth of action because nobody cut him off.
I think that it was fine. I think if we got a better game, I think it would have been a lot better. But even then, it doesn't really, whatever.
But it's always bad. I love when I'm sitting at home and I say something and then they immediately say the same thing. Like there's certain things you have to say. The second it's 24-0, the first thing out of Tom Brady's mouth has to be like, I've been there. You got a historically great quarterback on the other side. I was there. This is what it's going to take. Let me take you inside the huddle.
I mean, he did mention you got to start going here because you're not going to have many more possessions. It's a time game here, like possession game. Yeah. And if you don't score immediately, then you are looking down the barrel of the shotgun, and it's not going to be pretty on the other side. And that's what happened. It was just a bad game. Like objectively, it was a bad game.
Here's the thing: Brady will never be the commentator he was. He's never going to be considered the best commentator of all time. He will be considered the greatest football player of all time.
But I don't think he'll be known as the worst commentator of all time either.
No, but I wonder how he will be remembered as a commentator, truthfully.
Average and fine. And the fact that he is the GOAT on the field will elevate
sure.
and be fine.
I mean, there's a reason they gave him $375 million. You just say Tom Brady, and automatically you're bringing eyeballs, I'm sure, to a television. It's Tom Brady.
And if you're Tom Brady, you have heard all the talk all week long. We know behind closed doors, he's thinking to himself, no. I'm the greatest. None of this talk with Patrick yet. He's probably like, yeah. Let's go.
Honestly, I don't get a good feel for him. He is so robotic. He is so disingenuine. Like you said, what Colin got out of him, which was like a moment of actual like honesty and truth, where he's almost like behind the curtain with you. That is so rare with Tom Brady.
I want a cocky Tom Brady, because that's what he was with Colin. He's like, when I went to the line of scrimmage and I looked at the defense, I knew exactly what they were running. And if I didn't like it, I'm checking out. And I won the game before the game started. Like he was just so cocky in those moments.
But you know what we've gotten? We've gotten the Tom Brady that used to be interviewed by Jim Gray during Monday Night Football on the radio, which was like the worst interviews. They were never compelling or interesting. And that's who I think he kind of has been in year one. To your point, to Brent's point, 25 games, 1 year. Can he get better? Sure. Like all people can get better in all different trades or crafts. It's just like, I don't know. Like, is he ever going to be I don't go to a game and turn it on and hear Tom Brady and think he's going to bring anything to the broadcast, which I think is a pretty significant knock.
If you're Patrick Mahomes, you just don't want Tom Brady anywhere near any of your big time football games ever again.
AFC title game, Super Bowl last night.
2 Super Bowls, the AFC title game. You know, people kind of forget. Oh, Tom beat Mahomes not once but twice. Once at Arrowhead and once in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So the talk even before the game yesterday of if Mahomes pulls this off and they go with 3-peat here and 4 or 5, he's the best ever. Like whoa, calm down.
We won't know because it didn't happen.
The guy we won't
if they
know.
led 40-6, if they won the game in the way that Philadelphia won the game,
well, then
on the back of Mahomes and MVP,
then people will start talking about that. But even if that were to happen, you still have 3 to go, and hanging over your head forever will be the fact that the guy that you're chasing, you lost to not once but twice in the AFC title game and the Super Bowl.
True.
I almost wonder if you brought up when he was on Colin about how, when I got to the line of scrimmage, I knew exactly what the defense was going to do. You remember everyone loved Tony Romo for about a month.
Oh,
and then
no, Jim.
No, but then everyone was like, dude, stop telling us what the play is going to be. It just, don't tell us the next 3 plays because they're ruining it. And they didn't like, I wonder if they were almost like, okay, Tom, we don't want you to be like Tony. We want you guys to be separate things. We don't want you to be labeled like a Tony clone and come out and be like, oh, okay, they're in trips, wide. It's going to be this. And then it's going to be, that's what happens like with Romo.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a shot at being Tony Romo because I don't think he's anywhere near as good as Tony Romo. Now, people have strong opinions on Romo. I think there's a love-hate, but I think that's good from a commentator too. I think there's a lot of people like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's Romo. But I do think Romo provides something worth listening to. I haven't yet gotten that from Tom Brady.
I think
you're in.
I think Romo is much more relaxed, just talking to the guys, right? Brady is definitely the more buttoned up,
way buttoned up.
But the thing is, like, we all like Brady has that in him, though. Brady has that just like relaxed, just talking, doesn't have to be buttoned up in him. He just doesn't.
He doesn't show it publicly. I mean, he doesn't show it publicly.
No, but he has it. He has it. He just hasn't shown it yet.
All right, Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. He'll join us next. Spring training gets underway this week. Stay with us. Hour 2, Jon and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Superstar Car Wash. Eagles dominated the Chiefs last night, winning 40-22, winning Super Bowl 59. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP. The parade for the Eagles is this Friday, and with what's left of Philadelphia. Padres over the weekend, according to reports, they signed Jason Heyward. And tonight, Luka makes his Lakers debut for the Lakers against the Jazz, 7:15 tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Superstar Car Wash presents Random Acts of Super. Today, they're hooking you up with a free Super Protect car wash. Just text Sunset to 27800 and get a premium wash for free. Stay clean, Superstars. Terms and conditions apply.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
Let's not act like this is a signing that's going to turn into an all-star signing like Jurickson Profar was last year. Hope I'm wrong. I just don't see it that way. I look at the move as if he can fill in at different positions on the diamond, then that's great. Left field, right field, first base, bench. And if it's right now, Connor Joe's a part of your bench every day. That's great.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2, Jon and Jim. Spring training is here. Remarkably, Padres pitchers and catchers reporting on Wednesday. Our Padres insider Kevin Acee back with us on San Diego Sports 760. Thrilled to have him throughout the course of this upcoming 2025 season. Kevin will be with us a couple of times a week, if not 3 times a week, beginning with spring training kicking off this week. So, Kevin, first of all, we appreciate you hopping on. We're looking forward to having you. What's your schedule like? Like, when are you in Peoria, or when do you get to Peoria to start this journey with the Padres?
I'm in Peoria.
Okay.
Got a few people to see, and get ready, kind of ease into it.
I do. And it's, here's the thing. Obviously, you've written about it. Slow off season, I think, is an understatement. Obviously, a lot of off-field particulars with ownership. But I want to start with some of these baseball moves that have come to fruition apparently over the last 24, 48 hours. We'll see once they announce Jason Heyward. But Connor, Joe, Jason Heyward, maybe it's a platoon in left. What was your reaction to that as the path that the Padres took to potentially address left field?
In the end, like about what you could expect when you get to this point, though there was some talk about them shooting a little bit higher, but I mean, a couple $1 million guaranteed money, and that's about what you expect. I mean, this is a team that essentially deferred almost $6 million of Michael King and Elias Diaz's money. There's a cash crunch to a certain extent, and they want to keep some availability for the potential of injuries, for getting into spring training and seeing what, maybe some more needs are, starting pitcher. So about what you could expect. And if you want to go into what can we expect now from these two guys or whoever does end up being your left fielder, I mean, it's not, it's almost certainly not what you had last year. That said, there's room for improvement by some of the guys that are making big bucks on this team. And maybe you don't, they're going to have to step up and be better than they were last year. And I think we all know who we might be talking about. And then maybe you don't need an all-star in left field.
So with the moves that they still are looking to make, Kevin, how do they go about this? Do you expect trades? You've said that the money's tight. We've all seen that. We know that. So making the necessary moves that AJ Preller wants to make here until the start of the season, how do you expect them to make those?
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's a trade. They say they don't have to, or at least some people. When I always like to have a little refresher here when we talk about the Padres. Say, there's different people in the organization. There's the conversations that are going on there. There's this person or this group or whatever wants this, and this one says this, and they're constantly seeing where's revenue going to be, what can we fit in, what are we willing to do, what can we do. But at this point, in order to add, it appears that you need to subtract. So yes, how do this whole offseason's been like that? Like having, these conversations, if that works out, then maybe we could do this. If that works out, maybe they could do this. And at this point, nothing that they feel makes their team better, does that. Like, trading away, say, like Jake Cronenworth and getting, a decent return from my understanding. But they didn't feel makes them better than what they have with Jake Cronenworth. Trading Dylan Cease, well, what they get, they don't believe at this point makes them better. And, obviously taking the money off the books is a big deal, but doesn't make them better. And having Dylan Cease and Michael King atop their rotation, that's what they've decided at this point that they're going to go forward with. So there's a lot to be done, but the basic answer to your question, yes, it looks like there needs to be some sort of subtraction at some level, Robert Suarez, something like that, to be able to maybe add a starting pitcher and another bat, because, sorry to get ahead of myself here, but like the bench is pretty weak right now too.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. And again, opening day is still weeks away. Spring training will begin later this week in Peoria. And as you know, Kevin, because you've covered them, typically when you start spring training, you would hear previously during Peter Seidler's regime from Peter directly. Last year it was Eric Katsenda. You've reported on Jon Seidler, although he hasn't officially been named chairman through Major League Baseball. So when spring training starts, who will we publicly hear from the organization?
Maybe the two Erics again is what I'm thinking. I do not know for sure. I would think it would at least be one of them. And if it is only one of them, I would think it would be Eric Grupner. Eric Katsenda is certainly not interested in being out front, but I wouldn't be surprised that he does that you get the two Erics again. Or maybe they put it off and they say, hey, once Jon Seidler does become trustee, all the legal stuff is done, then Jon Seidler will speak in the middle of spring training, maybe. I'm not sure. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I don't know what you guys have opined on that exactly. I can imagine what you have. We probably line up somewhat similarly. I think it'd be a great idea. Believe me, I'm the guy who flew across the country to the owners' meetings. So I believe Jon Seidler should speak. All that said, it's hard to argue when you're in the middle of litigation and you have a whole bunch of he said, she said stuff that it's not a good idea to wait until after he becomes officially the control person. It's just hard for us to argue with that, as much as I believe it would be a really good PR move. And I often think public relations or saying something just to say something is totally overrated. But in this case, I think it'd be really good for Jon Seidler to speak.
Well, it's nice that you found a picture of him, Kevin, especially in a Padres jersey. That was nice. That was a good little PR first impression-ish move for Jon to be seen at least in a Padres jersey.
What do you know? He was at a Padres game and rooting, presumably, since he and I believe both of them, he and his wife were wearing Padres gear, rooting for the Padres. What do you know? There he was.
Wow, yeah, what a concept.
As has been said several times,
right.
But there was no picture, so it didn't exist for some.
Well, people they need to see it before they believe it. And
there's no yeah, exactly. And seeing is believing now in the age of AI.
Exactly.
I said sarcastically.
Right. Yeah, that was an AI picture, Kevin. Yeah, I was like, what?
As I was halfway through, I'm like, oh, someone's gonna think that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. What is Kevin Acee's number one topic on the field? I think off the field, we can all agree it's if Jon and when Jon speaks and what he says or what the ownership says during spring training. But on the field, Kevin, going into spring training, what's your number one topic that you're going to be, tracking down every day, at least in the start of spring training?
Left field, Xander Bogaerts, back of the rotation. I'm having a hard time right now. I think that's a neck and neck, right? I just do. Because again, Xander Bogaerts could have his middling season from his Boston years, and it would be like the Padres gained an all-star. And because he hasn't been that guy for him. All right. He could play a full season healthy and be like a 4-5 WAR guy. And it would be like, wow. That would be quite the improvement, and I think makes up a little bit. Jake Cronenworth could improve on last year as he improved on the year before, and be back to say 2021 Jake Cronenworth. And oh my gosh, well, that makes a huge difference as well. Fernando Tatis Jr. continues his ascension. I think there's a really good core there, or the potential for a really good 5-man core, let's say. And then it's like, well, left field diminishes to me. So to me, I can't get around Xander Bogaerts. And then I think that as long as they find a way that Yu Darvish stays fresh, right, about to be 39 years old by the end of the season, there's a guy who's like absolute stud. Left a real nice impression after getting a nice rest. His final 4 regular season starts and his 2 starts at Dodger Stadium in the division series, phenomenal, really. I think him after King and Cease, I just think that's great. But hey, Matt Waldron, does he believe in the knuckleball finally? Randy Vasquez, is there somebody else? So back of the rotation. But you want one answer from me? It's Xander.
Yeah, it's a huge year, obviously. I mean, they gave him so much money, and is he going to is he going to produce like he did when he was in Boston or not? Now in his 3rd year in a Padres uniform. Kevin Acee's with us for Padres Insider. Spring training starts this week. 2 wrongs doesn't necessarily make a right, obviously. There was a lot of criticism going to the lawsuit for a moment when Shields Seidler said, hey, they might move the team. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, right? But that got a lot of press. And then there was the reaction from ownership or from the Seidler Trust that said, well, you know what? Shields' lawsuit got in the way of our quest for Roki Sasaki. Is there any validity to that statement that the lawsuit or the timing of it hampered their ability to land Roki?
I don't think it helped. I just think there's too much smoke for there not to be fire, and I am not necessarily accusing anyone of any impropriety, but like for over a year, people have been saying he was going to LA. Players came away from it believing he was going to LA. A number of executives around the league came away believing he was always going to LA. They had no choice but to go through it and try to get him. Maybe they were wrong and he was going to go to San Diego or Toronto or wherever. But and that's just a little too much smoke for me. But I don't see how it helped at all. If let's say we can't be inside of Roki Sasaki's mind,
sure.
And gosh, LA just lines up real nice for him. We can make all the arguments. So did San Diego, or so would Toronto. Though Toronto doesn't seem to work for anyone. But you can make the argument for sure San Diego did. But LA, there's a lot there, man. And we can't be in his mind, but let's just say that he was like, all right, well, let me see about San Diego. Gosh, what's going on there? What's their long-term future? How much are they going to spend in 3 years when I want my big contract, and that sort of thing. I just don't, it didn't help, but I really do believe this guy was going to the Dodgers.
And if you believe what Manny said, and Manny thought that, his mind was already made up when he came here to San Diego.
Which, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean because then Joe sort of backed up Manny with a little more thoughtful response and a little more like, hey, maybe it just seemed that way. But Joe and Manny basically said the same thing, which doesn't necessarily preclude, that a month earlier, Roki Sasaki hadn't been turned off by the lawsuit or something like that. We don't know. We just don't know. He seems to be a very interesting young dude.
Yeah, very interesting in that. The first time that Manny has an at-bat against Roki will be definitely must-watch television. Kevin, final one for me. So, the moves that they have made this offseason haven't been really, I guess, inspiring to the fan base. But, where do you put this as far as plan A, plan B, plan C? You mentioned that there were some things that they were trying to do that they couldn't get accomplished. Where would you put their offseason right now as far as this was plan A, B, C, or D?
If I'm going 30,000 foot and go back and read what I wrote in end of October, I believe, this is very similar to how you thought it might go. Maybe I should have been more specific, like, hey, don't expect a lot of activity, but I can't say. I mean, he's got subsets of plans. So is this plan C4? I just don't know. But I hope that gives you an idea of what they maybe tried to do. And then, but ultimately also this wasn't going to be a huge off season. 2024 needed to have cuts in the payroll, and it did. This year was just going to go up because of the players they have on the roster, and there's just only so much room there. I mean, there is. Could the the Seidler Trust. I don't think they could at this point. But could all the owners do another capital call and sign a $12 million pitcher? I suppose they could, but it's not like these people their dividends have not been paid to these owners in a long time. There just isn't the money there for them without them taking out more loans, which we know how that worked out in 23, or doing another capital call. We know how that worked out. This is just about where they were going to be. Now, had they been able to trade Luis Arraez, maybe something, I guarantee you something different happens. Had they been able to really get a return for Dylan Cease, something would have happened. So those things were talked about and they didn't happen. And so here we are.
I guess what I'm trying to get is like, it seems like what's happened this offseason hasn't gone according to the exact plan that they were looking for. Because Roki Sasaki, to me, like that's plan A, right? Sure. And sure. Potentially re-signing Jurickson Profar at a number that fits, like that's definitely
what number fit though. I really,
yeah,
I
get it.
Never gave the impression Jurickson Profar was coming back.
Right.
I love the man. I mean, I will miss him on a personally professional level, right?
Yeah.
Like this man was fun to cover and he helped me cover this team. He's phenomenal. I didn't want to close that door, but Jurickson Profar wasn't coming back at $14 million a year.
No doubt about it. Kevin, yeah, I mean,
you're right. Oh, you're right. It didn't go, but again, Roki Sasaki, plan A, okay, fine. But he was also, plan A had other parts to it too.
Right.
But yeah, it's been there's no way around this. Bottom line, disappointing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, to this point, we'll see. I mean, again, everything's going to be determined on what happens on field. But yeah, from an off-season perspective, I think for a lot of Padres fans, it has been. Kevin, we appreciate it. We're excited to have you back. We'll do it again when spring training kicks off later this week. And thanks for hopping on.
Can't wait. You guys are going to be so sick of me.
We're not.
We're changing the name of the show.
It's just the Kevin Show.
It's the Kevin Show.
Come on whenever you want. Thanks, Kevin.
It's going to be awesome. See ya.
Enjoy Peoria. Yeah. All right, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. He'll be back with us Wednesday. He'll be with us 3 times a week from now until the end of the Padres season. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as often as possible. On Jon and Jim. On the other side, coming up at 3:30, J.D. Luster, San Diego State basketball assistant. Aztecs looking to bounce back from Saturday night. They lost to Colorado State. Must-win game they're facing tomorrow night. We'll get into that. Coming up next, Jon and Jim. All right, keep up with San Diego Sports 760 anytime, anywhere. Whether you're stepping out of the car or settling in at home, just ask your Google or Alexa smart speaker to play AM 760 or stream it live through the iHeartRadio app. It's never been easier to stay connected with your favorite shows like Jon Jim. San Diego Sports 760 goes where you go. If you missed our conversation with Kevin Acee, you'll hear it again in the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, it's at sportssd.com and at the iHeartRadio app as well. I guess the takeaway being, I'm with you on plan A is Roki. Like, I can't be convinced. Otherwise, that was the offseason plan. Yeah, they didn't get plan A. That had to be plan A. And I'm with you. I think Jurickson Profar had to be part of their plans. Like, in the clubhouse, in the coaching offices, with the manager. Like, you want to have Jurickson Profar. Now, I don't know about from the ownership perspective because of what he makes. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think Roki Sasaki, Jurickson Profar, like, if you would have told me that they could have landed one or both to start the offseason, yeah, 100%. You would have thought they could have landed one or both to start the offseason.
Yeah, the hardest one was to convince Roki to come here.
Absolutely.
You can't just put a bunch of money in front of him and hopefully he signs with you. Like, you had to convince him, and they didn't convince him. And the Dodgers, they kind of pretty much had him in the bag the whole time, it seemed like. But, like, if they could have convinced Roki, there better have been a push to re-sign Jurickson Profar, because that would have been, I mean, imagine that offseason. Again, it's revisionist history.
Yeah.
I get it. We're not going to sit here and talk about this all day, but they landed Roki somehow, and then they re-signed Jurickson Profar for the deal he got, which is like not
reasonable,
a lot,
yeah.
Very reasonable. I mean, to this team, it's a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, very, very reasonable. And then they signed Connor Joe to a 1 year, $1 million deal. And
you'd be like, all right, you're filling out your roster.
And Elias Diaz, and like what a off season.
Yep.
But instead, we are on plan, like Kevin said, maybe plan C, subset 4. Like, it's not anywhere close to what they envision their offseason going. And it call a spade. This offseason has not been good.
Do you think that they'll put it's not like a banner, but like the poster on the back of the video board at Petco that you see outside Petco?
We met with Roki Sasaki.
Like plan C4, and it's Diaz, and it's Joe, and it's Heyward, and it's Kim in like a whatever uniform, a Rays uniform.
That's right.
JD Luster is going to join us coming up at 3:30, Aztec basketball assistant. As San Diego State's on the road, they're in Northern California. They'll play San Jose State tomorrow night. We only have a couple of minutes here, but you would have thought the season ended Saturday night if you read our text line. Aztecs lost to Colorado State. They were 3-point underdog. They lost by 5. You would have thought there was no path ever to San Diego State fielding a men's basketball program ever again.
Where's your boy Lunardi have them?
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of my point. If you looked at the consensus of bracketologists today, like in this exact moment, like things are coming out each and every day, the consensus is, I've probably seen 15 brackets today. They're in all 15 still. Now, that doesn't mean they have margin. The margin's run out. The margin has run out. They have to beat San Jose State tomorrow. By the way, they're a 5.5-point favorite. It's not a big number. They trailed by 21 to San Jose State 2 weeks ago, right here in San Diego. So, like, they do have to play better. That's a factual statement. They were out rebounded by 9 in the second half. They were 11 of 21 from the free throw line. They somehow still could have won this game. It was a 3-point game with a minute to play. But this concept that season's over, they lost to Colorado State, it's just not accurate. Like, no one game is going to do it until you take on one too many losses or you suffer that one landmine type loss. And that's what they need to avoid beginning tomorrow night in San Jose.
If you could give me a 100% reassurance that this entire team is returning next year.
Yeah, I can't. I can't guarantee that my car is going to be outside when the show's over.
I know, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Is if you can assure me, and it's a long shot, it feels like, in the way college basketball works now, that Bird, Goon, DeGorville,
BJ Davis, Reese Waters,
Compton, maybe not Reese Waters because we don't know, but sure, we'll throw him in there too. Nick Boyd.
Yep.
You told me that all those dudes
your top
come back.
6 come back, something like that.
These types of losses wouldn't make me as upset, because I would say this isn't what it is. It's a very young team, and just imagine how much better they're going to get over the next year or so together as a group. But we all know how college basketball works, and the fact it's hard to have everybody return. I would love it if they do, then losses like Saturday night, they're only going to get better from, and they have a much more time together to get better from it. But it does feel like in the way college basketball is, with everything going year by year by year, that you don't have much time with these players all together. And so you have to capitalize while you can. And then losses like Saturday night feel even worse.
That's a fair point. All right, JD Luster joins us on the other side from San Jose. Aztec Spartans tomorrow night. JD Luster, Aztec assistant, joins us next.
This update's brought to you by Superstar Car Wash. The Eagles are your Super Bowl champions as they dominated the Chiefs last night, 40-22. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP for the Eagles. Moving over to Padres news over the weekend, late Friday night, reports of them signing Jason Heyward. The deal is not official as of yet. And tonight, Luka, he makes his Lakers debut as the Lakers take on the Jazz. 7:15 tip time. You can listen to that game, John, right here on San Diego Sports 760. Superstar Car Wash presents Random Acts of Super. Today, they're hooking you up with a free Super Protect car wash. Just text Sunset to 27800 and get a premium wash for free. Stay clean, Superstars. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, JD Luster is San Diego State assistant for Brian Dutcher. He's expected to join us shortly. Aztecs practicing this afternoon. So hopefully JD Luster can join us momentarily. Aztecs at San Jose State tomorrow night. Just saw the line, 5.5-point favorites. If you saw the first meeting, San Jose State gave everything that San Diego State could handle in that game. I mean, the Aztecs showed by 21 at home, came all the way back, stormed back. I think they used an 18-0 run in that game to eventually win it. So the Aztecs again on the road in each and every game, so critical for San Diego State. And we'll have it for you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. You mentioned Luka. ESPN moved everything around on Saturday. I mean, they moved everything around. There's full college basketball slate. They moved other NBA games because Luka was going to make his debut. Of course, he didn't. He's now expected to debut tonight right here on San Diego Sports 760. But to make matters worse for ESPN, LeBron James didn't play on Saturday. So they moved a game to this marquee time slot. If this doesn't speak to the issues that the NBA is experiencing right now, what does? You've got this marquee trade. The trade happened, Jim, a week ago. We still haven't seen the player. I know he was out. I know he's been hurt.
Yeah.
And then LeBron, Mr. Like, I'm going to play 82 games this year. He didn't even play on Saturday.
Lakers still won. Austin Reed's put together like
He had 45.
Like Luka who performance.
Right.
He basically did what Luka does. Like triple double, almost 45 points. He was incredible in that game. They end up winning without LeBron and Luka. Lakers are on a heater right now. Anthony Davis, shocker, gets hurt in his first game with the Mavericks,
amazing?
And he's out for now a month.
Imagine a tale of two games. He was like dominant for like a quarter, and then he gets hurt.
He was the most amazing basketball player ever in the first quarter. The first half, he had like 24 points.
Kind of the story of a lot of his career.
And it was very funny that the Anthony Davis injury news dropped middle of the Super Bowl.
Amazing. Yeah, like, oh, he's out for, it was like the Clevenger. Honestly, like, oh, great half. Oh, he's out for a month. Right. And to announce it during the Super Bowl, to your point, that's like unbelievable.
We're gonna bury this in
like
the Super Bowl.
Mid-Super Bowl.
Yeah,
not like before it, not after it, not Super Bowl Sunday, like during the game.
Not like at 9 p.m. Pacific time. It was right in the middle of the thing.
Let's catch up right now with JD Luster, Aztec assistant. San Diego State staying on the road. They were in Fort Collins Saturday, getting ready now for a tilt against San Jose State tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 7. You can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. Coach, always appreciate you taking time for us. We know it's busy. We're in the middle of February. So let's just start with Saturday night. What's the takeaway? You had the week off. You're in the game. Colorado State makes enough plays down the stretch to win at 68-63. What are the takeaways from Saturday night in Fort Collins? And thanks for hopping on.
I think one of the first takeaways is, we didn't make enough free throws. I believe we missed 10 free throws.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge part of the game. And, on the road, when you have opportunities to get to the line and get free points, you got to take advantage of it. And I don't think we did a great job of taking advantage of the opportunities. The other thing I thought that we didn't really do a good job of is we got offensive rebounds, but we gave up too many offensive rebounds.
When you talk about free throws, that's not something that, you can work on free throws every single day, and I'm sure you guys do, but what is it about, free throws in a game that's just different when it comes to practicing them before the game? Like, it just feels like sometimes maybe it might be a mental thing that you got to get over, like the team has to get over to make their free throws. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think free throws are a large part of it is mental, and it's definitely different in the game. When you're just at practice and after practice, when you just walk up to the line and you're cold, it's a lot different than when you're running up and down the court. Then you have to take one when you're tired. So we do different things as far as trying to simulate a game. Have guys do some suicides, which is sprints before they get to the line, just so it feels like a game, like you're walking to the line tired after running. So it's definitely mental. It's definitely mental, and that's good and bad. So, the good thing about it being mental is that it's something that you can change, that you can change rather quickly because it's something mental. And usually when you think positive, when you get to the line, good things happen.
JD Luster with us right now, Aztec men's basketball assistant. I think Dutch has touched on this a little bit. Like, sometimes with a younger team, it's almost like you're just trying to do everything, right? Everyone wants to win, and sometimes maybe you're almost trying to win too much. Or you trail by 4 points, you're looking for a 4-point shot, or so on and so forth. Like, how do you get a young team to go back to being the team you've seen them be this year and not trying to do too much in any one possession?
I think you got to just keep, harping on the importance of, playing the long game. I absolutely agree. I think sometimes, we think there's a 5-point play or, a guy individually wants to go make the player do it himself. And it's just, if you do the right things over and over the course of the game, you'll be rewarded. So I think, it starts with practice and, the bad part about success is you got to learn how to win. You got to learn how to have success, and part of that process is sometimes you lose. Sometimes you have failure, but you got to learn from the mistakes. And I think our team, as we continue to move through the season, we have to learn from, the mistakes. We got to be better at the free throw line tomorrow than we were on Saturday. And then we got to be better at boxing out. So it's just like every loss, there's a lesson, but it's like, are we learning from those lessons? We got to learn from those lessons and try to have some carryover from game to game. And that's the process with a young team.
Absolutely. Magoon Gwath has had the best stretch of his season by far. The last 4 games, double figures, double-digit rebounds in 3 of the last 4. What have you seen in his game the last 4 nights that has really, changed from the start of the season?
Man, I think comfortability. Just like I talked about, it's a process learning from losses. I think Magoon has learned from his experiences, been able to play early on. I think, early on in the season, I think a lot of times he was still figuring out what he can do at this level. Sometimes he'd try to drive in crowded areas. Sometimes I thought he would be playing too high up, and it took him turning the ball over, him going through what some people will look at as failures throughout the season, to now he's learned and he's been able to grow from it. So I think you guys are seeing the development of a guy that's going from a freshman to a sophomore. Now we're at the point of the season where our freshmen, they have enough experience to where now they're no longer freshmen. That's Taj Diggerville, that's Magoon, that's Farrell Compton. Those guys are more comfortable now. They understand what they can do and what they can't do at this level a little bit more than they did at the beginning of the year.
JD Luster with us right now. Aztec Spartans tomorrow night in Northern California. We will touch on that. The first game was, a wild affair. The Aztecs trailed by 21 before storming back late with an 18-0 run to win the game at Viejas. But you mentioned Magoon. What's the next step for Miles Bird and his growth?
Next step for Miles Bird, I think, again, it's not to sound like a broken record, but I think these guys are all young and they just learning from. Miles is in a new role. He's been here for this is his 3rd year, but this is his first time, being in this role, first time really being counted on. And, I think for Miles to just continue to learn to pick his spots, especially offensively, when to be aggressive, when to, be a facilitator. And then the second part is, I think, just him leading, continue to be comfortable being the voice of our team and continue to be a leader and grow in that area.
San Jose State kind of blitzed you guys at home, last time you guys played them. Now going on the road to face them tomorrow night. What's kind of the number one message going to that game, knowing that, hey, we can't let up here at all?
Well, San Jose State is a good team, and I think we've seen that in Viejas when they came there. They have a lot of guys that can score the ball. They're very well coached. Offensively, they have good concepts. So, I think our guys, they know that, and we have to be ready to play. I think every game's a challenge in this league, and now that we went through it and we played everybody, I think, our guys understand that it's one thing to tell them, but now they've experienced it. So I think they'll be better prepared.
All right, so tomorrow night, 8 p.m., San Diego State, San Jose State. You can hear it right here on San Diego Sports 760. Ted Leitner on the call. Then the Aztecs are coming home. It'll be another big game. They're all big at this time of year in February. And Boise State will be here on Saturday for San Diego State and Boise State, the return game after the Aztecs won in Boise earlier this year. JD, real quick before you go, just when you get to this time of year as a player or a coach, does anything change, or is it, every day is the same? You're trying to get yourself ready for the next game, or what changes when the calendar flips to February or even March?
I think Coach Dutcher does a good job of, keeping us in the moment as a team, as a program. And, obviously as you get closer and closer to Selection Sunday, I think, every game is that much more important. But as a team, we got to approach every day the same. And that's just focused on us getting better as a team, guys getting better individually, I think if we do that, if we just focus on that, because that's really all you can control. Just are you getting better every single day as a team? So I think that's the focal point. And if you do that, everything else take care of itself.
No doubt about it. JD, appreciate the time. We're looking forward to tomorrow night. We'll see you this weekend at VA House Arena. And thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, great stuff. JD Luster, San Diego native, on the staff for Brian Dutcher. All right, on the other side, we're going to give away Aztec tickets. We're going to do that on the other side. We have Aztec tickets for Saturday to give away. We'll do that on the other side. Plus, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. Cynthia Freeland will join us at 4:30 from the NFL Network. It's Jon and Jim. Jon and Jim back with you. We've got Aztec basketball tickets to give away in the next 5 minutes. So do not go anywhere. Saturday, showdown with Boise State. They're all huge games. I mean, for San Diego State to reach its goals, right? They're all critical. I do not think they have to be perfect, by the way, down the stretch. They've just got to be good down the stretch. So it starts tomorrow night against San Jose State on the road. But then again, Boise State, this is going to be a blackout Saturday, 7 p.m. We have tickets to give away. We'll do it in the next 5 minutes. All right. A very busy sports weekend as they typically are. So let's get to this.
Is that good?
Wilcox, snapper, Huber, holder from 29 yards away. Oh, he missed it badly. Kick on the way. Boswell. That's a winner.
The good and bad from the sports weekend.
Well, I could just talk about Patrick Mahomes this weekend in the Super Bowl. Yesterday at halftime, John, he had 33 total yards passing, and that wasn't anything to do with the total yards that the team had because of all the sacks, but just looking at Mahomes at halftime yesterday, 33 yards passing, 2 interceptions. It was the worst first half of football he's ever played in his entire life. Brent, is that good?
It's no good. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Eagles' defense is good, and the Eagles obviously proved to be the best team in football, but it was still shocking to see the way the game played out. And speaking of which, I mean, this was incredible. It's been harped on in the 24 hours since the game. The Eagles didn't blitz.
Not one time.
Any pass attempt that Kansas City had a night ago. 42 pass plays. The Eagles did not blitz. They still sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times without sending one extra rusher at any point. Is that good? It was for the Eagles.
Yeah, for the Eagles.
Yeah.
They had a damn near 60% pressure rate
Without sending
Without
an extra.
without blitzing one time.
That's amazing.
That is
insane.
That's like video game stuff on like easy mode.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting around
Ridiculous.
offensive linemen. Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes in his Super Bowl losses now has lost by a combined 40 points in his Super Bowl losses. The Chiefs losing to the Bucks back in 2020, 31-9, and then last night, 40-22. Game wasn't even that close. Brian, is that good?
It's no good. Are you kidding me?
That's interesting. Yeah, they haven't been in a couple of the losses, obviously.
Yeah.
Magoon Guath. All right. Magoon Guath. His last 4 games for the Aztecs. We just touched on this with JD Luster. 15-13, 24-7, 14-11, 15-10. His block totals his last 4 games: 2, 1, 4, and 2. He's just been unbelievably impressive as a redshirt freshman. Is that good?
Yeah, he's been really, really good the last 4 games.
Amazing.
And finally, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Listen to Saquon Barkley's entire season, all right, including the playoffs. He rushed for 2,503 yards. That's a record if you add the postseason.
Right.
Again, I get it. There's extra games and whatnot. So, but stop. He had 20 total touchdowns. He was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-Pro, finished 3rd in MVP, and capped it off last night with a Super Bowl win. Brent, is that good?
It is good.
You texted me last night. Dude, if you're a Giants fan, worst season ever? Worst season ever? For
the
you,
whole
the Giants
thing,
fan?
because of from Hard Knocks to like the GM's son being like, just draft Jaden Daniels. You only get this job one time.
He's like, no.
And to the Saquon Barkley, the way it played out, to go from New York to Philadelphia, and then the Eagles win the Super Bowl, and he has the best season ever by a running back. And by the way, the Giants, who are a proud franchise, to be this bad for this long. I mean, they've been awful, right? For years on end, they had the one playoff team. Give me a break. By and large, the last 10 years, they've been awful, right? And for it to be capped by Saquon Barkley, the 27-year-old, celebrating his birthday, and I mean, it's just an abject failure. It's a complete and utter.
I'm sorry,
nightmare.
Thor. Thor is going through it.
Complete nightmare.
Thor is going through it.
My final one is we just spent a full year watching the new NFL kickoff rule. I don't know what the rule is. Do you know what the rule is? I have no concept. I have no idea.
Are you kidding me?
Sometimes they run and like go somewhere, and other times they don't.
It's not great, John. Not really
Can
exciting.
we go back to the way it was? Just kick it through the back of the end zone. if you want to. I don't have a problem with that.
This was supposed to be, and I think they actually do call it the dynamic kickoff.
Was it dynamic to you this year?
No, because teams just are going to kick it out of the end zone.
Kick it out of the end zone.
They don't care if they start at the 35.
All right.
Like, hey, I'd rather have them start at the 35 than give them a chance to score a touchdown. Like, what's an extra 10 yards? Nothing.
I just, we've watched football our whole lives, and I'm like, is this where we're heading? Like, is there going to be more of that moving forward?
Player safety, John, but it's add another game and go to New England go to England.
I'm not advocating for more players. I get it. Special teams plays have a high risk of injury, right? You got guys going at full speed, punt returns, kickoff returns traditionally. I get it. But inherently, like we've had this talk with Rich Ornberger over there, like football and safe, that's like an oxymoron.
Right.
It's not touch. It's not flag.
Jelly.
I know they're pushing flag like the Olympics but it's not flag.
No.
So, there's an inherent risk. Yeah. So I say, like, if you're going to play, or just put the ball at the 25. But they don't want to do it because the commercials, the way it works with television, you need to have like a play. Let's kick the ball off before we go to ads. So I prefer the way the college game is right now, which is how the NFL was until 2025.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. I wonder if it does change back, truthfully. Maybe not.
Probably not, John. Probably not.
They're not worried. There's 100 million people watching.
Unless it turned into like every other play turned into like a touchdown.
Can you imagine? Yeah, every game was like 70-63. Because
then I think the NFL would like that because it's called the dynamic kickoff.
Probably. All right, we promised you Aztec tickets for Saturday, a blackout at Viejas Arena. They're all important games, including Saturday at 7 against Boise State. If tickets are available, they're at goaztecs.com. A critical game in the Mountain West for San Diego State. Caller 5, you're going. 2 free tickets. 877-767-4760. Call right now. Caller 5, you are going Saturday night, Viejas Arena, San Diego State, Boise State, good men's basketball rivals on the floor at Viejas. 877-767-4760. All right, a couple of more giveaways coming up over the final 2 hours of the show. Cynthia Freeland will join us at 4:30 to put a bow on the Super Bowl, plus the wrap coming up next. Hour 3. How long are we here? Until 6.
Oh, we're here for 4 hours, John, if you remember.
So we've done 2.
Correct.
And we've got 2 more. All right. So hour 3, they wanted a 4-hour show.
Or my first time doing a 4-hour show.
It's been a while.
I know.
Hour 3 of Jon and Jim. That comes your way next. Don't go anywhere.
This update's brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Eagles dominated Super Bowl 59 last night, beating the Chiefs 40-22. Was not even that close. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP. Padres over the weekend, according to reports, not official yet, they signed Jason Heyward. And tonight, Luka makes his Lakers debut against the Utah Jazz. 7:15 tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Kitchen sink more clogged than Monday morning traffic. Kitchen clog catastrophe. Avoid a flood that your home insurance won't cover. $63 stoppage guarantee. Anderson Plumbing, Rooter Drain Services. They always know what's below. Nobody wows clients like they do.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
Let's not act like this is a signing that's going to turn into an all-star signing like Jurickson Profar was last year. Hope I'm wrong. I just don't see it that way. I look at the move as if he can fill in at different positions on the diamond, then that's great. Left field, right field, first base, bench. If it's right now, Connor Joe's a part of your bench every day. That's great.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3. We're here until 6 p.m. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, stops by at 4:30. We've got 2 more giveaways for you today, including tickets to see Warren Haynes at Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th. So we'll do that during Trainwreck Radio. Warren Haynes, we'll do that coming up later this hour. Then we've got tickets to give away to see Australian Pink Floyd. Have you ever seen Australian Pink Floyd, Jim?
No, John, I have not.
It's Australian Pink Floyd.
Okay, great.
Okay. And this would be August 17th.
way to describe that.
I'm guessing it's just like Pink Floyd with Australian accents.
I don't know.
What is Australian Pink Floyd?
I have no idea.
I'm not Googling it.
Okay.
The Australian Pink Floyd show. They've sold over 5 million tickets.
That's great.
Not to this one show. That'd be a crazy line.
That'd be a
to get
record.
in. But
is it possible that
Google
5
it.
million people in one
unbelievable
in space?
Like the Pope is here. It's gonna be incredible.
5 million people?
Australian Pink Floyd, 5 million people coming to the Cal Coast Credit Union Open Air Theater.
And they only hold like 20,000.
No, but this is Cal Coast Credit Union on campus at SDSU. It's even smaller than that.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a show at that venue?
No.
Either have I.
I thought you were going to say that you have. And it's
No,
amazing.
but have you ever been by that venue? On campus, it's between the bookstore and like Viejas.
I think
you
so.
walk from Viejas to the bookstore?
I think so.
It's cool.
Okay.
Like it's like
It's like an amphitheater.
yes.
Cool.
Outdoor amphitheater.
That's
I love
great.
a good outdoor amphitheater.
Yes, you do.
How do you know that?
You just said it.
I've never been to this one, but I love myself a good outdoor amphitheater.
Okay.
Food for thought. All right, coming up at 4:30, Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network. Right now, let's get to those.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
What do you think of Fox's brand new score bug for the Super Bowl?
Awful, atrocious, ridiculous, outrage.
Egregious.
But for real though, it was really bad.
Yeah, when I first saw it, it was all I was thinking about.
Me too.
Like,
I'm like, what?
and if you haven't
is
seen it,
this?
just Google Super Bowl score bug.
You know what I honestly thought? I honestly thought there was a glitch
And they had to put it up.
and that it wasn't a completed score bug. I thought there was like part of it that
Was missing.
was missing.
So they went transparent. What a score bug is, for anyone that's not aware, is when they put the score on the screen during any live sporting event, college basketball, NBA, NFL. So like Kansas City 3, Philadelphia nothing, 3 timeouts. Here's who's got the ball. Something like that. 1st and 10. How much time is on the play clock? And I mean, listen, they switched it up. They really did. It was kind of big, but it was also transparent. And it was almost like it's not broken, Fox. Whatever you've been doing has worked perfectly well all season long. You didn't need to make the change. I don't think it's going to negatively impact ratings, but
No.
It was a big topic of conversation.
But it was the first thing that stood out to me.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, what is this?
Like, is that it?
no, I'm like, yeah.
It was really bad. And I saw the timeline blow up. Everyone's like,
Everyone
what
said
is
the same
this?
thing. Yeah.
It was a giant eyesore for me. I got used to it though. It's
Yeah,
fine
me too.
because it's whatever. But when the first thing you see is that thing pop up, you're like, who did your son do
Yeah, it
this?
was like an
score bug?
intern in charge.
Yeah,
I agree.
it's bad.
Next question.
What are your expectations for Luka tonight in his Lakers debut?
Probably triple-double.
Better. Quadruple.
Did you see that the Lakers are giving out Luka like jerseys
Are they real? To all fans?
to all fans in attendance tonight? LeBron is wearing a Luka 77 like shirt right now during his warm-ups.
Is it the giveaway?
It's the giveaway.
They couldn't do bobblehead? They couldn't turn that around in 7 days?
No, they turned around a shirt pretty quickly.
So a couple of things here on Luka, because he hasn't played since Christmas.
It's been about a month and a half-ish.
And I know you talked about this a lot, I'm sure, last week, even though I didn't listen. Remember the criticism in the NBA Finals last year from Windhorst? He went all in.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. Because what he said when they were down 3-0, he's like, Luka's got to change. You're like, this thing ain't working. It is kind of interesting. Like, now on the other side of it, I know the trade has been universally criticized from Dallas's perspective, but
Anthony Davis is now hurt.
and now he's hurt, but you can't predict that. I would just say, like, for all the praise of the Lakers being able to pull this off, we still got to see what happens. That's what I would say. Like, we still have to see what happens on the other side, because there's no guarantee the Lakers are going to reach the NBA Finals with them right now. Maybe in the future. Now you got this 25, 26-year-old. What was even the question?
What's your expectations for Luka tonight?
Quadruple double off 10 blocks.
He'll be really good. Lakers are rolling, so I'm curious to see what the addition of Luka does to this team.
Sure.
Because I think they've won, 6 in a row, 5 in a row?
Let's see. They have won 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
31-19, 5th seed in the West.
They are a couple games back of home court.
A half game out of home court.
So if they're rolling right now, which they are, is Luka just going to enhance everything, or is it going to be a process to incorporate Luka in their system?
It's kind of be a process, right? It should be a process. I wouldn't think it's just plug and play, but that's why you have all this time. They got multiple months until the postseason.
Yeah, I'm sure they've thought about how they're going to utilize Luka for the last week or so.
Probably. Next question.
What did you think of Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance?
Dude, this was a hot button topic on social media.
100%.
I thought it was really good. I thought that it's one of those performances, and a lot of the casual fans not going to do this, but if you go back and you watch it again with the understanding of everything that he's doing, you get all the references that he's doing.
Easter eggs. Like,
in
if
the
you
Easter
read an
eggs.
article about
Yeah.
what he was trying to accomplish.
The reason why Serena Williams was there, crip walking during Not Like Us, why he brought out, I think her name was SZA,
man.
SZA,
I remember my first time watching.
performing with him. Like, they have connections to Drake. It's the American flag. Like, there's a lot of subliminal messages that he was doing that a lot of people just didn't get, and that's why people just didn't like it. But I thought it was great. I liked it a lot.
It was definitely super polarizing on
yeah.
social media, which I didn't necessarily expect. There have been other rap acts before at a Super Bowl. He's performing, by the way, on tour with SZA. So they're touring together.
Oh, really? Okay.
Coming up.
Yeah.
I know that my wife thought it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
She
me and
loves
Aaron loved
Kendrick
it.
Lamar. So, I mean, again, to each their own. You're not going to please everyone with the Super Bowl halftime show. We've seen that previously.
People were so outraged. Like,
I don't get outraged either way.
Like, chill out, bro. Like, is it the best Super Bowl halftime show ever? No. Was it the worst? Not even close.
It's like
calm
it's
down.
his show. So, like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like we offer our opinions. You listen
Right.
to us, you may disagree with our opinions.
And-
it wasn't our show, it was his show.
And you also have to respect the fact this dude just won 5 Grammys for a song that was a diss track.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny when he started singing it, and he was kind of, the whole backstory is Drake said that if he sang this song in the Super Bowl, he's going to sue.
Sued, yeah.
And so he's kind of joking around at first. He's like, nah. And everyone's like, oh.
He's not going to do it.
And then he starts doing it. And then he looks directly in the camera and he goes, say Drake. And just gives this troll smile. I was like, oh my God, he did it.
He went there.
Absolutely did it. It was incredible.
Next question.
It almost felt like an acid flashback. I took my dog out and came back, and Serena Williams was sea walking, and Sam Jackson was dressed up as Uncle Sam. And it was just like, what the hell is going on?
Next question.
Who's going to win next year's Super Bowl? It's never too early.
Well, I showed John the new Super Bowl logo that was announced this morning.
Looks like a national park logo.
It really does. It's a lot of colors. So every Super Bowl conspiracy theorist out there, good luck trying to decipher this one. It has blue, purple, red, green, I think
it's like the whole
white.
rainbow.
It's literally it's a lot of colors. So there's a lot.
It looks like the Padres City Connects.
A little bit.
It's in San Francisco or Santa Clara, actually. next year? I don't know, dude. All I know is this. If the Niners don't win a Super Bowl soon, I'm going to lose my freaking mind.
No, you won't. You lose your mind anyway. You'll lose your mind, correct. But you always lose your mind. So what's going to change?
You know, I'm happy that Aaron got to experience the Super Bowl victory last night. But to say I wasn't a tiny bit jealous, I was.
Would be lying.
But I'd be lying.
Here's what's going to happen next year. It's going to be the Eagles and the Chiefs. Like, football's been very predictable. You look at the teams that are getting to Super Bowls, and what did Saquon Barkley say last night? There's no reason to expect Philadelphia to really, take their foot off the gas. And Kansas City, I mean, they still have Andy Reid. They still have Patrick Mahomes. That's a good starting point. I say Eagles, Chiefs, round 3, coming in February of 2026 in Santa Clara. We'll see. We'll see. Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network will join us at 4:30. We'll ask her that question. Like, who are the favorites in the AFC and NFC? How could it not be Kansas City and Philadelphia? I mean, is it Detroit and Buffalo? Like, how? Detroit has failed to get to the Super Bowl the last 2 years with elite rosters. Buffalo has failed to get over the Kansas City hump. Like, what's going to change to make Detroit the true favorite or Buffalo the true favorite when these teams have not come through the last 2 years in the postseason, or more than that even, if Buffalo? The
thing with the Eagles after last night's game, you realize, okay, a lot of their really, really good players
are back.
Not only are they back, they're in their first or second year.
They're 22 years old.
Like Cooper DeJean, a rookie.
He's 22. He
was incredible. Jalen Carter, going to his third year or whatever. He's incredible. Jalen Hurts is going to be there for a long time. AJ Brown, there's there for a long time. This is the first year of Saquon's 3-year contract.
Yep.
Devontae Smith, he's a Heisman winner. I mean, he had a kind of the dagger last night in that game. Their offensive line is intact. They're losing a couple pieces on defense, but by and large, they're coming back, and they're only going to get better because Howie Roseman has been a genius when it comes to drafting. All of their players that they're star players have come through the draft, and then they added to that with
that's the way to do
AJ Brown and Saquon, and you've just created arguably the best roster in the sport.
And that's the way to do it. You have to draft effectively. And this is true really in all sports. I mean, we talk about this with the Padres. I mean, you run out of money if you try to do everything via free agency. You can have success. You can pop up occasionally. But to sustain success, whether it's the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball, by and large, there's a benefit in drafting well. Like in all of those sports, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, there's a benefit in drafting and developing. And when you do it over and over again, Philadelphia is a perfect example. In the NFL, they've been to 3 of the last 8 Super Bowls. They've won 2 of them. They've been consistently good. They've started it with the draft. So yeah, listen, is it nice to have money too, like the Dodgers, or is it nice to be able to keep your players like the Warriors have been able to do? Yeah, but the Warriors drafted a lot of those players. Yeah, they kept them, but they drafted them.
That was always my argument with the Warriors when people are like, I can't believe they're doing this. They drafted Steph, they drafted Draymond, they drafted Clay. Those 3 guys together won 3 titles, the 2 of other with KD on the team.
Right. Like,
or
how did
2 titles?
Oklahoma City with Durant, Harden, Westbrook was drafted through Seattle? I mean, that's a credit to the organization.
OKC.
Yeah, but I mean, the Seattle pipeline from KD in Seattle to Oklahoma City, he was drafted as a Sonic.
I think KD was first, and then the year after they moved to OKC, and that was when they drafted Harden, and then I think
and now they didn't win at this level because they didn't win a title. But like again, like you want to sustain winning, you got to draft well, and that's what Philadelphia has done. And this has been a knock on the Padres. I mean they've had highly touted prospects, but they haven't fully developed those prospects within their own organization beyond Jackson Merrill really over the last 10 years. They need more Jackson Merrills moving forward. Easier said than done, but really good organizations have multiple players of Jackson Merrill's caliber that they've drafted and developed.
Drafting and developing in pro sports wins you championships, especially in football. Football of any sport.
Yep. It's so big. These rosters are massive.
That's why the draft every year, it feels like it gets bigger and bigger because you can draft a guy and in year 1, he can become
pick 6 in the Super Bowl.
Or like Jaden Daniels bringing the Commanders to the NFC title game.
Great point.
You can right away make a huge impact. And that's why in the draft in the NFL, it's so important. Same thing with the NBA. Maybe it's dropped off because you don't see many rookies doing what they do in the NFL. Major League Baseball, their draft is irrelevant.
Yeah, because you don't know for years.
I could care less about the MLB draft. But
even the NBA draft. Listen, when Luka was drafted, we didn't know Luka was Luka, right? Because nobody followed Luka Doncic in Europe, so you didn't really know Luka was Luka. We'll have more on Luka on the other side, because you can hear the Lakers tonight right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 7:15. Cynthia Freeland, her thoughts on what's next for both the Eagles and the Chiefs to put a bow on the Super Bowl and the 2025 season as well. Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network will join us coming up at 4:30. Great giveaways until 6 p.m. Stay with us. All right, AM radio, Jim. It keeps vital voices accessible like yours. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help, Jim.
Okay.
Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. Cynthia Freeland was here on Friday, and she'll join us coming up in 10 minutes. Wrap it up. Super Bowl 59. She said Eagles over Chiefs 5 months ago. She was right.
Yeah, she was. And she nailed most of her predictions for the game. So
You're saying in terms of like point spread or total or props?
She did mention that she thought the Eagles could jump out to a big lead, but don't, think that Mahomes couldn't come back.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Nobody thought 40-6 at some point.
Yeah.
34-0.
Again, this Super Bowl in particular, and you saw a lot of it, like even Colin, it's funny. I was watching Colin's Friday pick. He got everything wrong, but
right.
I'm not giving anybody that thought that the Chiefs were going to win a close game any crap here, because guess what? They were undefeated in the last 17 games that were all one score. Mahomes and the Chiefs seemingly pull rabbits out of their hats every single game. So to think that anything was going to be different, why would you?
Why would? And now again, nobody predicted. Once it's 34-0. I mean, they're not as good trailing 34-0. Believe it or not.
And to say, and I thought the right take was like, look, it's hard to bet against Mahomes. And I'm not going to be fooled again. So I'm just going to take Mahomes until proven otherwise. And guess what? Proven otherwise. That's fine. It's just how it worked.
I think this is a little bit of like fake math, because this will go down as the most watched television event ever.
Oh, the numbers came out?
Yeah, 126 million viewers is the most watched Super Bowl ever. Now, the previous most watched Super Bowl ever was last year. There's new metrics with Nielsen, right, where they're including all the streaming numbers. They're putting it all together. So I don't know. I'm taking that with a grain of salt, because if you watch the entirety of this game, there's no way they didn't lose audience during this game. Now, again, I don't know how they measure it overall, but Fox has just put out that this is the most watched Super Bowl ever. 126 million viewers, a peak of 135.7 at 8 o'clock Eastern. The most streamed event ever, with about 15 million streaming.
I buy it.
I just think it's fake math. Like, I don't know, man. This game was more watched than like Super Bowl 20.
Yes.
Why?
More ways to track viewership ratings.
Okay, more ways to track, but that doesn't mean more people are watching.
We don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't buy it.
I buy it. I buy it from a standpoint of the entire week. The talk was kind of like boring about this game. And I talked to Will Brinson last week, and I asked him, he's like, yeah, this kind of feels like a lame Super Bowl week. It's very quiet. Not a lot happening. Not a lot. Me and Brent, not a lot of hype around the game. But once you get to the game day, you're like, oh, it's the Super Bowl. There's history on the line.
Yeah.
Eagles, huge fan base. Chiefs looking for a three-peat. Best quarterback in the game against one of the best running backs in the game, if not the best in Saquon. Like, two powerhouse franchises, playing in the biggest game. I'm not surprised at all. That number.
I get it, but it's like, what's different about this year's Super Bowl to last year's Super Bowl? And last year's Super Bowl was a much better game. Like, this is what I mean by it. They include 14 million viewers on Tubi.
Yeah.
And they include their Spanish viewership audience, and they include Fox and streaming. I'm just saying, like, back in the day when you put the game on CBS, it's like, well, there was no Tubi.
Right. I get it.
I feel like you're combining numbers in different
ways.
What
they're doing now. Is they're making different ways for
100%,
people to watch,
100%.
which then creates a larger audience.
Yeah, I buy.
One of the differences too is like, because there's on CBS and Paramount Plus last year, right?
It's on CBS.
Yeah.
They didn't let you go on to Paramount Plus and watch the game for free. Tubi, all you had to do was go in and put your, because that's how I watched the game, because I don't have cable or anything. I just went into Tubi, put my email address in it, and then I got to watch the Fox feed on Tubi. So I wonder how many of those people just went on to Tubi just for that. Like, I'll probably never watch Tubi again.
What the hell is Tubi?
I have it was an extra.
It's a streaming service. It's like Pluto and all those. It's free.
Yeah, last year had 123.4 million. This year had 126. Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's like semantics, probably. Like, to Brent's point, one's on Paramount Plus, the other's on Tubi.
Right.
At the end of the day, this is what the advertisers know. The largest amount of Americans to watch anything every year is the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So if you reach 126, great. If you reach 116, great. I mean, you're reaching everyone. I don't care what they say. Everyone's watching.
One of the things that I noticed and it might have been just a moment in the game, but I'm pretty sure it was like right before, after a timeout, coming back from break, and action started right away. Is they panned the crowd during, I think it was the first quarter or maybe the second quarter.
Okay.
Middle of the quarter. There were so many empty seats there for like for the Super Bowl.
Right.
And the first thing I thought of was, if in 5 years, because prices go up on everything, prices are only going to go up. 5 years, it's going to be damn near impossible to get into a Super Bowl if you're not loaded. And
it's already.
I know it is.
Yeah.
But even 5 years ago, it wasn't like it was now or is now. I just think the Super Bowl has become just even more than it has, just so commercialized from a standpoint of it's just celebrities, rich people, and a handful of the diehards that are, lucky enough to be able to purchase a ticket for $10,000.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like we've covered a couple of these. We've been at Radio Rows. When the Radio Row was in LA, it was the same thing. I think tickets were more expensive in LA. Whenever we first did that show 3 years ago, these tickets you could have gotten in for $3,000 because nobody could get hotel rooms. Everything's off.
That was last second too.
I mean, it's the Super Bowl. I don't know how there's 70,000 people that have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 for tickets, but
it was an Eagles home game mostly. And I wasn't surprised because if you're a Chiefs fan,
they've already won.
You've dropped a lot of money on the last 3 Super Bowls that you guys have won. So you look at this one, you're like, am I really going to drop another $5-10 grand for awful seats?
Dude, I'm not paying a penny. I think it's a great viewership experience. That's the beauty of the National Football League. 100%. National Football League. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, to put a bow on the Super
National
Bowl 59.
Football League Network.
NFL Network. She'll join us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Eagles dominated the Chiefs last night to win Super Bowl 59, 40-22. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP, having 3 total touchdowns in the game. Padres news over the weekend, according to reports, signed outfielder Jason Heyward. And tonight, Luka makes his Lakers debut for the Lakers against the Jazz. 7:15 tip time. You can listen right here on San Diego Sports 760. Kitchen sink more clogged than a Monday morning traffic. Kitchen clog catastrophe. Avoid a flood that your home insurance won't cover. $63 stoppage guarantee. Anderson Plumbing, Rooter, Drain Services. They always know what's below. Nobody wows clients like they do.
All right, Jon and Jim with you. We've got some tickets to give away later this hour to see the Warren Haynes Band here in San Diego, Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th. Great to connect with Cynthia Freeland, NFL insider who's been with us all season long here on Jon and Jim from the NFL Network. Remarkably, Cynthia, and you know this because you've been asked about it. You've seen it all over social media. I think they pulled it up on television. You called this.
Nailed it.
Now, I don't know if you get every Super Bowl right or every game, but you said before the season, the Eagles over the Chiefs. The Eagles ended up beating the Chiefs, but still nobody saw this. I wasn't with you Friday. I think you said you could see the Eagles getting out to a large lead potentially, but like this was impossible to predict the way this played out, right?
I mean, I think everyone until it got into like over 24 points.
Yeah.
I think everyone was like still manageable. But once it got to like 27, it was over. I kind of can't believe they brought Kenny Pickett out though. Like that was that was a choice.
Yep.
It was very interesting.
Of everything that happened yesterday, what surprised you the most?
I mean, you know, we talked all season long about how the Chiefs were, you know, they were a complete team because they were able to win these close games. And even if they didn't get off to a lead, they were able to kind of work their way through, you know, making the right sorts of changes to be able to get themselves on track. And the fact that their adjustments just like didn't work like at all, you know, and any points that were scored really felt, you know, like, okay, like, sure, why not? You know, like as opposed to a real strategic battle where they got the better end of it. You know what I mean? Like, so it was weird to see such a, like the whole game, they were bad. Like there was no area where like, oh no, the defense played great. Nope. You know what I mean? Chris Jones even got hurt. Like the whole thing it just was odd.
It was really odd. It was honestly, it was bizarre to watch the game play out in the manner in which it did. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network, is with us. I mean, listen, obviously for a quarterback to be good, they need an effective offensive line, weapons around them, the right play call, and so on and so forth. With all that being said, I mean, Mahomes, even with the pressure and even with maybe even if it was some play call, like he just did not look himself, right? I mean, he made some really poor decisions and throws that maybe got Kansas City out of the game late in the first half, right? The pick six and then the interception inside his own 20 in the final minutes. That was maybe the difference between staying in the game or not.
Yeah, the interception in the 20 was the one where I was like, well, that's interesting. Because I wasn't, you know, that was the one where I was like, all right, the pick six. I mean, okay, like Cooper DeJean really just had he gambled and the gamble paid off. Like he wasn't, you know, that was Cooper DeJean just really, like his bet was right. It was like, you know, penalty kicks with a goalie. He chose the right thing using the right spot and it kind of, you know, not to say he wasn't great, but, you know, he also, there's an element of just, you know, luck there as well. Mm-hmm. But the interception inside the red area to give the Eagles the ball back, that was weird. That was a weird, you're like, whoa, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it just did not look like Mahomes at all. How much credit you giving Vic Fangio here? It feels like if you could have given an MVP to anybody, I think I would have maybe given it to Vic Fangio. What do you think on that one?
Vic Fangio did great. I mean, we talked a lot about, you know, how do you approach Patrick Mahomes? And, you know, what's funny about Vic Fangio, I mean, the fact that they blitzed him 0 times on any dropbacks was crazy. The fact that they were getting I mean, why would you blitz anyone when you were getting like at one point in the game, it was nearly a 50% pressure rate and they'd only rush with 4. Why would you blitz then? You know what? You don't need to.
But I mean, Saquon Barkley, it's so funny how football works. Like, we get infatuated, this record season, all these 100-yard games, the long touchdowns. And, the saying, if someone would have told me 25 carries for 57 yards, he doesn't get in the end zone. Well, the Chiefs are going to win the game. Doesn't that even make it more unique? The manner in which the Eagles won, they were so reliant on Saquon Barkley all year long. He wasn't overly effective, yet they still led this game, 34-0.
Absolutely. I mean, I think part of his effect, though, wasn't on the stat sheet. It was what happened everywhere else, because you saw A.J. Brown. I mean, A.J. Brown got singled up with Trent McDuffie, and A.J. Brown's body is just outmatches almost every defensive back in the league. So, they knew it felt like Kellen Moore had a really good beat on what they were going to get. And it felt like, they gave Jalen Hurts so many options on every play. I actually thought the O-line, I wish you could have given it to the entire O-line, because as much as I like, it's not like Jalen Hurts wasn't worthy of it, but I felt like he had all day to operate behind that. He was not stressed at all behind that O-line.
Yeah. It feels like, going back to, football 101, you win in the trenches more often than not, you're going to win that football game. And the offensive line and defensive line dominated yesterday for the Eagles. But, talking about Jalen Hurts, it just felt, other than that bad interception there in the first, that was not a good throw by him, felt like he played pretty much a perfect game for his type of game that he has, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he didn't do things that weren't what he could do. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is who he is because we see these little breakdown improv plays, typically to Travis Kelce. And, when they don't work, they don't work. But that is not Jalen Hurts' game. And when he's asked to do stuff like that, it looks weird and it goes poorly. When you don't, it all comes back to the line. When you don't ask him to do anything that's out of his wheelhouse, then you're going to get great results. And that's exactly what happened.
So he's 26 years old. Think about the adversity he's gone through. He gets to a Super Bowl, they lose. He gets to a national championship game, he's benched.
Yeah.
It's amazing. He's this elite player, obviously, but think about the adversity that he's gone through. What does this unlock? What's next for Jalen Hurts? Where is there potential growth, and what can he accomplish on the other side of this?
Well, he's very fortunate that he's in the East, the division that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a massive leaps and bounds step forward from the Cowboys. This isn't a great O-line class. I would imagine they do something crazy like draft a running back. And then, the Commanders are a lot better, but I'm not scared of the Giants. I don't know. I think they're in a fortunate position of having a lot of young players where, the expectations are going to be very high for them next year. They're going to certainly open right up at the top, especially considering they don't have a lot of changes coming to certain key positions. The defensive line is fine. This is a fine defensive line class. So great. That'll be great. But, I think it'll be sustained excellence, which is a lot harder to do than maybe we even give it credit for, because I don't know if the thing I guess I realized yesterday more than anything was that I don't take for granted how Patrick Mahomes, Brett Veach, and everyone has done it all so well for so long, considering the better you are, the worse the conditions become.
What one adjustment would you have liked to seen from the Chiefs yesterday? Or was there maybe nothing that they could have done, in your opinion?
Oh, there's always something they could do, right? I think they should have taken a few easy ones. They didn't get the run game going and they sort of abandoned it. And then they didn't get, West Coast principles. Run game can even be approximated through short passes. They couldn't get any of that going. The 12 personnel looks that they typically use to get back on track, they kind of just weren't using them. So it was weird. And there was a few drops that were uncharacteristic of certain players. And, it kind of was kind of everything went wrong all at the same time. But I think getting back into some rhythm would have been nice. And maybe if that means bringing an extra lineman, maybe if that means, doing some heavier formation ahead of the snap to make sure that they just don't let that pressure come through.
Without knowing what the offseason brings, draft, free agency, but just in your mind, based on having watched everything play out here in 2020, 4-5, what's more likely? Philadelphia's in the Super Bowl next year or Kansas City?
Philadelphia, in large part because of their O-line. I think that Kansas City's going to have a hard time. They've got a really, like, left tackle is a hard one to fix. And between that and, now they're paying all their key players, right? Like, if you're looking at what the price tags for the Eagles are and the players who made the biggest plays all season long, I mean, Saquon Barkley, everyone has talked about it. He got traded for a song, or he got acquired for a song. And the two corners, like two of the main corners, are rookies. They're just going to be on their second year of their rookie deal. That saves you so much money. And the O-linemen are all, like, basically locked in. So that just eliminates a lot of turnover in areas that are really key areas. And by the way, they get Nakobe Dean back, who didn't even play because he was injured.
Yeah, they have done an amazing job. Me and John were just talking about it. Hy Roseman has been incredible when it comes to drafting. All of their main stars are like first or second year guys, or they're through the draft. It's just been incredible for the Eagles. Travis Kelce, Cynthia, yesterday. I mean, obviously no one looked good on the Chiefs. You couldn't even point to one person that looks good. But, on Friday you said, hey, there's still that the possibility Travis Kelce could have that one great playoff game, remaining. Does it feel kind of like this might be it for Travis, especially with how he looked in this game and how he's looked majority of the season?
I bet we hear something later, like he was playing with a grade blank sprained knee, something, right? Like, I bet we hear that there was something that wasn't quite 100%, but it wasn't enough to keep him off the field. Therefore, it wouldn't show up on the injury report. But I would imagine we hear something like that. I have a hard time thinking this is the way he'd go out, but I'm not sure anyone in the history of football has had more options than him. Maybe Tom Brady, but I don't know, man. It feels like he's got a lot of options as of right now.
Yeah, I think he has a couple.
I think he's set. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. Is to, like, on one side of the coin is a three-peat, right? Which has never been done.
Mm-hmm.
But then to see the opposite side of the coin, to be
Complete
trailing
opposite.
34-0 in a game that they're never in. Like, it'll be interesting to see, like, to your point, Cynthia, it might be hard to emulate even for next year with their offensive line. But it's like, will this go down as a blip, or is this some type of changing of the guard? As Mahomes enters his 30s, Andy Reid isn't getting younger. The Chiefs, I mean, they were winning one-possession games. You can't win 17 consecutive one-possession games. I mean, they just did it, but you can't count on that. I mean, how do you see for the next 5 years, or the second half of Patrick Mahomes' career? It probably won't be as easy as the first half, right?
I mean, it's always going to be harder, right?
Yeah.
I think the thing that will be interesting to watch, I mean, that division is really difficult as well. I mean, having both the Broncos and the Chargers make the playoffs, no one expected the Broncos to be in this position so soon after getting Bo Nix, especially still paying Russell Wilson's contract. So, just even looking at the division that they're in, let alone the conference, it's just hard to win right now. I think the NFC really made a push this season, but I still think the AFC is like a really difficult, and the AFC West in particular. I don't think it's getting any easier. Do I think the Raiders are going to start scaring anyone? I don't think so, but I don't know. Pete Carroll could turn things around. I just think that's where things become more tricky, and that's where I think this is where having all these veterans becomes very hard, because now you got to make decisions between who you pay, who you don't. Can you keep McDuffie? Like, there's just a lot of question marks. You can't pay everyone.
How's New Orleans?
I love New Orleans. I have a lot of great things to say about it. The food was excellent. The thing I hated, everyone could smoke everywhere. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I haven't been in that situation. We are so spoiled here in California. So my throat is like dead.
Yep.
But other than that, everything else about it was amazing. It was such a cool city. And again, the food, I ate my way through that place. But my only complaint, I was like, oh no, everyone can smoke everywhere. So you're just like inhaling smoke. So it's not great. But other than that, it was wonderful.
Other than that, Cynthia, we appreciate all your time for our listeners here in San Diego throughout the course of the season. I know we'll be doing it again here at some point in 2025, but hope you enjoyed it. Congratulations on another successful season with NFL Network, and thanks for hopping on as always in San Diego.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Always love you guys. Talk to you soon.
We appreciate you. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network.
She's like, she's like, I want to leave. I gotta go. My throat is killing me.
You've never been anywhere, so you haven't been to New Orleans.
Hold on, pause. I have never been anywhere like 3 years ago.
I know, now you're Mr.
Now
Travel.
I'm Mr. Travel Jim. I'm Mr. International.
But you haven't been to New Orleans.
Yeah, but just because I haven't been in New Orleans doesn't mean I haven't been.
Well, I was going to I asked as if I had like a real question, like, have you been there? But then I thought about it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. It's a very unique American city because it doesn't necessarily feel as if it's in the US. It's hard to explain because of like its French influence.
Yeah.
It is a cool place. I've been there 2 times. It's a cool place. I don't know if I could live there, but it's a great place for a celebration or an event. Hence the fact that they've had the Super Bowl, what? Is it 12 times? I mean, some ridiculous number of Super Bowls.
And national championship.
Yeah, they have everything. Final Fours.
It's on our list of places to go.
Is it number 1? No.
No.
Do you have a list? Because the list has a top and a bottom.
Well, right now we're going to Hawaii for our anniversary. Nice. And I've never been to Hawaii, so that's on the top of the list there. Going to Lake Como is pretty cool. Switzerland was nice. Paris was cool. Finally was there for
you weren't even in, but did you go there on a layover?
We flew over and saw the Eiffel Tower.
Cool. All right, call right now. Who wants 2 free tickets to see the Warren Haynes Band? This is at Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th. All right, Warren Haynes in San Diego. If you want 2 free tickets to see Warren Haynes in San Diego, May 14th, you need to call right now, 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760, the Warren Haynes Band. Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th, 877-767-4760. First 2 callers will be contestants for Trainwreck Radio. That's trivia. If you want those free tickets, 877-767-4760. If you missed our conversation with Kevin Acee, we'll share it with you coming up at 5 p.m. on Jon and Jim.
Eagles dominant yesterday.
Dominate, you wrote.
I know.
I was wondering, like, after last night, ever since Travis Kelce started dating Taylor Swift, everything was great, man. Right? They're winning games. They won a Super Bowl. I mean, what is their record heading into last night? Since they started dating, the Chiefs were what?
6-0 in postseason games.
Okay. Since this relationship.
Yes.
I mean, and think about the regular season. They don't lose. So, like, they're 30-2 or whatever.
Well, dating back to the previous postseason before Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift,
they won the Super Bowl.
They won the Super Bowl that year, too.
Fair. So things have been good for Chiefs fans and for Travis Kelce.
2019.
But, like, what's that like? Like,
what, they're going to break up now?
No, but no, it's just like they haven't gone through.
Game.
They haven't gone through that yet. The whole like, I thought we were going to win every Super Bowl.
I think it's fine.
She doesn't date losers.
What's next there? Are we getting married? By we, I mean them.
Probably. I would hope. I mean, you've been dating for this long.
2 years.
I hope it goes down that path. Because if it doesn't, Travis Kelce's screwed.
Do you think he's done?
I think he's done. That was
the uninspiring performance.
Not only was it uninspiring, it was a like real shocking. Oh my God, I've lost it. Like this is bad.
It was so bad.
Outcome.
That's what her next album's going to be about.
About the loss.
Instead of a breakup, it's going to be about how crappy he played.
Do you know how old he is?
He's 36.
It's 35.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say like 33. Wow. Yeah,
well,
he's done.
I saw,
and he's all over and like with his brother doing like all those commercials and other stuff that he'll do something else.
His post-life career, along with his brother,
post-career life.
Sorry, post-career life, post-life. My bad.
Yeah.
Post-career life.
Yep.
After he's done and he hangs it up, I think I don't want to compare it to Charles Barkley because Charles Barkley never won a ring, but you could see him and his brother,
dominated media,
just being the kings of media.
I wonder, are they 1 or 1A to the Manning
for better or worse?
Absurdity. I mean, Mannings are everywhere.
Yeah.
I wonder who's who's going to make more money over the next 10 years in media? The Mannings or the Kelces?
Good question.
The Kelces, because the Mannings don't have their own General Mills mix of cereals. You can get that Kelce mix. It's like, was it Cheerios, Lucky Charms, and something else? And
you're going to be better because they have a cereal.
Yeah, but I mean, the Mannings have the Omaha Productions.
Yeah. I think if I were to rank, I would say Manning's 1. I love Peyton Manning. I think he is, when it comes to analysis and just like off the cuff,
sure.
I think I would choose him as the number 1. Imagine if Peyton Manning was alongside Kevin Burkhardt instead of Tom Brady. That would have been way better, to your point of like how much you hate Tom Brady in the booth.
It's not that I hate him. I just don't think he's good. Like, you kicked out, who'd they kick out? Greg Olsen?
Yeah,
Greg Olsen's much better. Now, he doesn't have the same name. It's like, here's why I don't like it. It's like, we could do a show, me and you, Jon and Jim.
Yes.
And then you could be like, well, they don't have the same like cred as Mike and the Mad Dog, but if we're doing a better show, why is that show inherently better?
But also, if iHeart Tomorrow said, hey, Colin Cowherd wants to take over for Jon and Jim, guess what?
They're not going to let them. They're putting their foot down, man.
Hey, they're choosing Colin Cowherd, all right?
No, I get it.
So,
but I mean, Colin, that's different. Colin carved out his space and career.
Yeah, he's great. I get it.
Right? Like,
yes, I know.
He didn't like just get handed the keys.
But also, if I don't know, if Manny Machado retired tomorrow,
okay,
and it was like, hey, I want to do a sports talk show on 760 from 2 to 6,
then we'll do mornings.
Then we're gone.
No, we'll do mornings.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I think a big difference is Greg Olsen was given a chance to get some seasoning on him. When Greg Olsen started his broadcasting career, then they didn't go, all right, Greg, you're doing the game of the week and the Super Bowl right away. We're not even going to let you get 15 games in under your belt. You're our number 1 guy right away. It took like maybe 3 seasons before he kind of worked his way up and became one of their better guys.
Burkhardt, Travis, and Taylor next year in the booth.
You know what I miss?
What?
I really do miss Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. They, to me,
you like that crew. I mean, they're solid.
Are the best.
I like that crew.
I think they're the best.
Over Nance.
Yes.
Over Tirico.
Yes.
No. See, I think that's a bridge too far. I like Tirico a lot.
I'm not saying I don't like Tirico or Nance. I think they're great. But when I hear Joe Buck to me, it just screams like big game.
Enjoy the Houston wild card game for the next 20 years.
I know.
But it's the team thing of it, though. It's like, I like Mike Tirico, but I can't stand Chris Collinsworth.
Right.
So it's like, I like the team of Buck and Aikman. Separate, I probably won't like Aikman as much if he wasn't with Buck. It's just, I like the pairing.
And by the way, Aikman has, in the wild card matchup against the Texans and the Chiefs, he was just like calling out the refs and like,
Brady did that yesterday at the first.
He also
that first pass interference. He's like, oh, that's a horrible call.
They actually now are doing 2 games because they do the Monday night game.
That's right.
In wild card weekend, then they do a divisional game. It's always the worst divisional game.
Yeah, it is.
So they're doing 2, but you're right. They're not getting the Super Bowl because now that he's with ESPN, ESPN doesn't have a Super Bowl. All right, Kevin Acee.
I think down the road
does ESPN have a Super Bowl?
I think they're trying for one.
That's great.
No, I'm serious. Look it up. I do think eventually there will be a Super Bowl on ESPN.
Really?
Dude.
No way, dude. It would be on ABC.
Well, you could still have then Buck and Aikman on the call.
I'll Google it.
Okay, Google it.
How about that? I'll Google it. I'll Google it. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider to kick off 2025 pitchers and catchers reporting on Wednesday. Kevin Acee, that's next.
This update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Eagles dominated the Chiefs last night, winning Super Bowl 59, 40-22. The game was not even that close. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP. Padres over the weekend, according to reports, it's not official yet, but they've agreed to terms with Jason Heyward. And tonight, Luka makes his Lakers debut. Lakers take on the Jazz, 7:15 tip time. You can listen to John Ireland and Michael Thompson right here on San Diego Sports 760. Kitchen sink more clogged than a Monday morning traffic. Kitchen clog catastrophe. Avoid a flood at your home. Insurance won't cover. $62 stoppage guarantee. Anderson Plumbing, Rooter Drain Services. They always know what's below. Nobody wows clients like they do.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home. Rough weekend for the Scarlet and Black.
Aztec dead in the water for the last 3 minutes. Down by 5. Just could not score anything.
Tomorrow night, it's up to the South Bay versus San Jose State. Plus, AJ Preller made a few moves as Connor Joe comes back home. And veteran slugger Jason Heyward also inks a deal. Now time for Jon and Jim.
Yeah. Twice as good.
The double win.
San Diego and Southern California was going on. San Diego and Southern California was going on.
The double whammy.
We caught up with Kevin Acee earlier.
We caught up with Kevin Acee. Stop.
We're such a...
Stop. No.
All right, here's the thing. Programming announcement. Kevin is going to join us a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot this season.
It's
if
the
you're a
Kevin
Padres
Acee
fan, you're going to hear Kevin 3 times a week on Jon and Jim.
Maybe more.
Potentially more. In fact, if you listen to the entire show, you're going to hear more because this is the second time you're going to hear him today. So Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. He's back for the entire year. He's already in Peoria. We started the conversation right there with Kevin Acee. He's already made the trip to Peoria, right?
I'm in Peoria.
Okay.
Got a few people to see, and get ready, kind of ease into it.
I do. And it's, here's the thing. Obviously, you've written about it. Slow off season, I think, is an understatement. Obviously, a lot of off-field particulars with ownership. But I want to start with some of these baseball moves that have come to fruition apparently over the last 24, 48 hours. We'll see once they announce Jason Heyward. But Connor Joe, Jason Heyward, maybe as a platoon and left. What was your reaction to that as the path that the Padres took to potentially address left field?
In the end, about what you could expect when you get to this point, though there was some talk about them shooting a little bit higher, but I mean, a couple $1 million guaranteed money, and that's about what you expect. I mean, this is a team that essentially deferred almost $6 million of Michael King and Elias Diaz's money. There's a cash crunch to a certain extent, and they want to keep some availability for the potential of injuries, for getting into spring training and seeing what, maybe some more needs are, starting pitcher. So about what you could expect. And if you want to go into what can we expect now from these two guys or whoever does end up being your left fielder, I mean, it's not, it's almost certainly not what you had last year. That said, there's room for improvement by some of the guys that are making big bucks on this team. And maybe you don't, they're going to have to step up and be better than they were last year. And I think we all know who we might be talking about. And then maybe you don't need an all-star in left field.
So with the moves that they still are looking to make, Kevin, how do they go about this? Do you expect trades? You've said that the money's tight. We've all seen that. We know that. So making the necessary moves that AJ Preller wants to make here until the start of the season, how do you expect them to make those?
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's a trade. They say they don't have to, or at least some people. When I always like to have a little refresher here when we talk about the Padres. Say, there's different people in the organization. There's the conversations that are going on there. There's this person or this group or whatever wants this, and this one says this, and they're constantly seeing where's revenue going to be, what can we fit in, what are we willing to do, what can we do. But at this point, in order to add, it appears that you need to subtract. So yes, how do those, this whole offseason's been like that, like having, these conversations. If that works out, then maybe we could do this. If that works out, maybe they could do this. And at this point, nothing that they feel makes their team better, does that. Like, trading away, say, like Jake Cronenworth and getting, a decent return from my understanding, but they didn't feel makes them better than what they have with Jake Cronenworth. Trading Dylan Cease. Well, what they get, they don't believe at this point makes them better. And, obviously taking the money off the books is a big deal, but doesn't make them better. And having Dylan Cease and Michael King atop their rotation, that's what they've decided at this point that they're going to go forward with. So there's a lot to be done, but the basic answer to your question, yes, it looks like there needs to be some sort of subtraction at some level, Robert Suarez, something like that, to be able to maybe add a starting pitcher and another bat, because, sorry to get ahead of myself here, but like the bench is pretty weak right now too.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. And again, opening day is still weeks away. Spring training will begin later this week in Peoria. And as you know, Kevin, because you've covered them, typically when you start spring training, you would hear previously during Peter Seidler's regime from Peter directly. Last year it was Eric Atzenda. You've reported on Jon Seidler, although he hasn't officially been named chairman through Major League Baseball. So when spring training starts, who will we publicly hear from the organization?
Maybe the two Erics again is what I'm thinking. I do not know for sure. I would think it would at least be one of them. And if it is only one of them, I would think it would be Eric Grupner. Eric Atzenda is certainly not interested in being out front, but I wouldn't be surprised that he does that you get the two Erics again. Or maybe they put it off and they say, hey, once Jon Seidler does become trustee, all the legal stuff is done, then Jon Seidler will speak in the middle of spring training, maybe. I'm not sure. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I don't know what you guys have opined on that exactly. I can imagine what you have. We probably line up somewhat similarly. I think it'd be a great idea. Believe me, I'm the guy who flew across the country to the owners' meetings. So I believe Jon Seidler should speak. All that said, it's hard to argue when you're in the middle of litigation and you have a whole bunch of he said, she said stuff that it's not a good idea to wait until after he becomes officially the control person. It's just hard for us to argue with that, as much as I believe it would be a really good PR move. And I often think public relations or saying something just to say something is totally overrated. But in this case, I think it'd be really good for Jon Seidler to speak.
Well, it's nice that you found a picture of him, Kevin, especially in a Padres jersey. That was nice. That was a good little PR first impression-ish move for Jon to be seen at least in a Padres jersey.
What do you know? He was at a Padres game and rooting, presumably, since he and I believe both of them, he and his wife were wearing Padres gear, rooting for the Padres. What do you know? There he was.
Wow, yeah. What a concept.
As has been said several times. Right. But there was no picture, so it didn't exist for some.
Well, people they need to see it before they believe it.
And there's no yeah, exactly. And seeing is believing now in the age of AI.
Exactly.
I said sarcastically.
Right. Yeah. That was an AI picture, Kevin. Yeah. I was like, what?
As I was halfway through, I'm like, oh, someone's going to think that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. What is Kevin Acee's number one topic on the field? I think off the field, we can all agree it's if Jon and when Jon speaks and what he says or what the ownership says during spring training. But on the field, Kevin, going into spring training, what's your number one topic that you're going to be, tracking down every day, at least in the start of spring training?
Left field, Xander Bogaerts, back of the rotation. I'm having a hard time right now. I think that's a neck and neck, right? I just do. Because again, Xander Bogaerts could have his middling season from his Boston years, and it would be like the Padres gained an all-star. And because he hasn't been that guy for him. All right. He could play a full season healthy and be like a 4-5 WAR guy. And it would be like, wow, And that would be quite the improvement, and I think makes up a little bit. Jake Cronenworth could improve on last year as he improved on the year before, and be back to say 2021 Jake Cronenworth. And oh my gosh, well, that makes a huge difference as well. Fernando Tatis Jr. continues his ascension. I think there's a really good core there, or the potential for a really good 5-man core, let's say. And then it's like, well, left field diminishes to me. So to me, I can't get around Xander Bogaerts. And then I think that as long as they find a way that Yu Darvish stays fresh, right, about to be 39 years old by the end of the season, there's a guy who's like absolute stud. Left a real nice impression after getting a nice rest. His final 4 regular season starts and his 2 starts at Dodger Stadium in the division series, phenomenal, really. I think him after King and Cease, I just think that's great. But hey, Matt Waldron, does he believe in the knuckleball finally? Randy Vasquez, is there somebody else? So back of the rotation. But you want one answer from me? It's Xander.
Yeah, it's a huge year, obviously. I mean, they gave him so much money, and is he going to is he going to produce like he did when he was in Boston or not? Now in his 3rd year in a Padres uniform. Kevin Acee's with us, our Padres insider. Spring training starts this week. 2 wrongs doesn't necessarily make a right. Obviously, there was a lot of criticism going to the lawsuit for a moment when Shiel Seidler said, "Hey, they might move the team." Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, right? But that got a lot of press. And then there was the reaction from ownership or from the Seidler Trust that said, "Well, you know what? Shiel's lawsuit got in the way of our quest for Roki Sasaki." Is there any validity to that statement that the lawsuit or the timing of it hampered their ability to land Roki?
I don't think it helped. I just think there's too much smoke for there not to be fire, and I am not necessarily accusing anyone of any impropriety, but like for over a year, people have been saying he was going to LA. Players came away from it believing he was going to LA. A number of executives around the league came away believing he was always going to LA. They had no choice but to go through it and try to get him. Maybe they were wrong and he was going to go to San Diego or Toronto or wherever. But and that's just a little too much smoke for me. But I don't see how it helped at all. If, let's say, we can't be inside of Roki Sasaki's mind,
sure.
And gosh, LA just lines up real nice for him. We can make all the arguments. So did San Diego, or so would Toronto. Though Toronto doesn't seem to work for anyone. But you can make the argument for sure San Diego did. But LA, there's a lot there, man. And we can't be in his mind, but let's just say that he was like, all right, well, let me see about San Diego. Oh, gosh, what's going on there? What's their long-term future? How much are they going to spend in 3 years when I want my big contract, and that sort of thing. I just don't, it didn't help, but I really do believe this guy was going to the Dodgers.
And if you believe what Manny said, and Manny thought that, his mind was already made up when he came here to San Diego.
Which, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean, because then Joe sort of backed up Manny with a little more thoughtful response and a little more like, hey, maybe it just seemed that way. But Joe and Manny basically said the same thing, which doesn't necessarily preclude, that a month earlier, Roki Sasaki hadn't been turned off by the lawsuit or something like that. We don't know. We just don't know. He seems to be a very interesting young dude.
Yeah, very interesting. And that the first time that Manny has an at bat against Roki will be definitely must-watch television. Kevin, final one for me. So, the moves that they have made this offseason haven't been really, I guess, inspiring to the fan base. But, where do you put this as far as plan A, plan B, plan C? You mentioned that there were some things that they were trying to do that they couldn't get accomplished. Where would you put their offseason right now as far as this was plan A, B, C, or D?
If I'm going 30,000 foot and go back and read what I wrote in end of October, I believe, this is very similar to how you thought it might go. Maybe I should have been more specific, like, hey, don't expect a lot of activity. But I can't say I mean, he's got subsets of plans. So is this plan C4? I just don't know. But I hope that gives you an idea of like what they maybe tried to do. And then, but ultimately also this wasn't going to be a huge off season. 2024 needed to have cuts in the payroll, and it did. This year was just going to go up because of the players they have on the roster, and there's just only so much room there. I mean, there is. Could the Seidler Trust? I don't think they could at this point. But could all the owners do another capital call and sign a $12 million pitcher? I suppose they could, but it's not like these people their dividends have not been paid to these owners in a long time. There just isn't the money there for them without them taking out more loans, which we know how that worked out in 23, or doing another capital call. We know how that worked out. This is just about where they were going to be. Now, had they been able to trade Luis Arraez, maybe something, I guarantee you something different happens. Had they been able to really get a return for Dylan Cease, something would have happened. So those things were talked about and they didn't happen. And so here we are.
I guess what I'm trying to get is like, it seems like what's happened this offseason hasn't gone according to the exact plan that they were looking for. Because Roki Sasaki, to me, like that's plan A, right? Sure. And potentially re-signing Jurickson Profar at a number that fits, like that's definitely
what number fit though. I really,
I get it.
Never gave the impression Jurickson Profar was coming back.
Right.
I love the man. I mean, I will miss him on a personally professional level, right?
Yeah.
Like this man was fun to cover and he helped me cover this team. He's phenomenal. I didn't want to close that door, but Jurickson Profar wasn't coming back at $14 million a year.
No doubt about it. Kevin,
you're right. Oh, you're right. It didn't go, but again, Roki Sasaki, plan A, fine. But he was also, plan A had other parts to it too.
Right.
But yeah, it's been there's no way around this. Bottom line, disappointing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, to this point, we'll see. I mean, again, everything's going to be determined on what happens on field. But yeah, from an off-season perspective, I think for a lot of Padres fans, it has been. Kevin, we appreciate it. We're excited to have you back. We'll do it again when spring training kicks off later this week. And thanks for hopping on.
Can't wait. You guys are going to be so sick of me.
We're not.
We're changing the name of the show.
It's just the Kevin Show.
It's the Kevin Show.
Come on whenever you want. Thanks, Kevin.
It's going to be awesome. See ya.
Enjoy Peoria. Yeah. All right, Kevin Acee. All right, so he's going to be with us 3 times a week, which is like more than you're with us.
Maybe more.
Maybe more than 3 times a week. Right here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We'll react to that conversation. Jim's back page is still ahead. We've got giveaways. Because we never got to the Warren Haynes tickets, did we? Did we do Warren Haynes?
No, we didn't.
Okay,
we got sidetracked.
All right, we got sidetracked. We'll give away Warren Haynes tickets on the other side. React to our conversation with Kevin Acee. It's Jon and Jim. All right, Jon and Jim back with you. We'll give away these tickets to see Warren Haynes, Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th. We'll do that in the next 5 minutes. Yeah, like I wouldn't call it an eventful offseason, obviously, for the Padres, but I would say
you wouldn't. Of course, you wouldn't.
No, but I would say the ownership thing has made it like, it's not like, oh man, they signed Manny Machado, right. But
things have happened.
The ownership thing and the pursuit of Roki Sasaki, which we spent 100 days on, has made it. Again, if someone would have told me at the beginning of the offseason there is no Roki and there is no ownership dispute and their only move is Diaz, I'd be like, what the hell is this?
Right.
Or Connor Joe. But there was a lot going on without anything really happening. Right?
Yes, there was a lot. And especially everything that happened around them, too, with teams that are going to be teams that they're going to contend with. And then, of course, the Dodgers. While the Padres might have had a quiet offseason, in their universe, in the orbit around them, it's been noisy as hell.
Yeah, you're right.
The Mets and Soto and the Braves and Profar and the Dodgers and what they did and the D-backs, Giants. Mm-hmm. Like everything around them has been very noisy, and that's why this frustrating offseason has been that. It's because all the teams around them have improved, it seems like, and you have gotten worse. You still have a good core. You have a really good core. Great superstar players.
Right.
But from the 93 win team that got bounced in game 5, that team has gotten worse. And that's where the frustration comes in.
Yeah, and I get it. Honestly, from a Padres fan or season ticket member perspective, the way this team has drawn, the way this organization has been supported, to see an offseason go like this, how could you say it's anything other than disappointing? I mean, it's crazy. Like nobody envisioned the lawsuit. I mean, I guess we envision Roki. I think a lot of people envision what happened with Roki. You get your hopes up, which is natural. Yeah. Jurickson Profar has a career year. He walks. Yep. Like all these things that you're up in a series against the Dodgers. Not only do you lose, but they win the World Series. It's like just kind of bad to worse. Like I've talked about Alexander, the no good, horrible, very bad day offseason.
But that doesn't mean A, you should not be excited for Padres baseball, and B, that this team can't win a bunch of baseball games, because they absolutely can.
No, I agree.
They can get hot. They can have players that are signed to big contracts have great years. Listening to Kevin there, and I 100% agree with him. Xander to me is like that, not only X factor, but he might determine just how good or bad the season could go. Because if Xander has a bad season,
they're not going to be really good.
Where else are they going to get production? And you need to have it from a player that hasn't been able to give you good production the last 2 years, a guy that signed to that big contract. They need him to perform, and they need Tatis to stay healthy. Those two things happen. I think they have a really good shot to be very competitive.
What about the theory of forget all of this? If Manny Machado is Manny Machado, they're good. Like forget everything. If Manny is better than he was last year, are they not going to be good? I'm not saying 93 wins, but if Manny is better than last year, I don't know, 35 points on his OPS, right? It's at 50 points. He's capable. 50 more points on his OPS, even more because he's capable. Are they not going to win 86 games if Manny Machado puts together a top 2 season of his career? It's like he's healthy. That's the whole argument. He had this elbow. It took a year to get back from. The second half was really good.
You still need,
of course, but I mean the Manny goes, team goes theory.
I buy into that theory. I buy into the stock. I buy all that.
He's going to lift it if he really hits 296 with a good slug and on base.
If Manny's having a great day. Everyone's having a great day.
Yeah.
Manny's having a bad day. A lot of people are probably having bad days as well.
I'm with you.
Like he drives that clubhouse with his performance, his attitude, and everything else. So yeah, I agree. Manny has a good year. Team has a good shot to have a good year. Manny has a bad season.
Yeah. How do you recover from that?
You're not recovering.
I agree.
You're not. We've seen this team and how they operate. They can't afford that from Manny. They just can't.
Completely agree. All right, Jim's back page is ahead. Right now, the first caller to 767-4760 is going to see the Warren Haynes Band at Humphreys by the Bay May 14th. If you want 2 free tickets to see Warren Haynes in San Diego, Humphreys by the Bay, May 14th. Call right now. You're going. 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. First caller, you are going to see the Warren Haynes Band. We'll get into tonight, Lakers with Luka for the first time ever, plus the importance of tomorrow night for San Diego State on the road at San Jose State. It's Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, what would you do, Jim, with an extra $75,000 right now? You would do a lot.
I would do a lot, yeah.
Or even a couple $100,000.
Give me $100.
If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey guys, it is Schaefer. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. You can use it. One client got $150,000 down, paid off all their credit cards, a couple of car loans, a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 619-207-4336. Get the money you need for anything. 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This update is brought to you by the Jim Buttrell Real Estate Team. The Eagles dominant over the Chiefs last night. If you know, you know. They beat them 40-22. Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP. Padres over the weekend, according to reports, signed outfielder Jason Heyward. And tonight, Luka makes his Lakers debut. Lakers and Jazz, 7:15 tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Buttrell is the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000 now.
All right, Aztecs on the road tomorrow night. San Jose State, 8 o'clock tip. Pregame at 7. Ted's got the call. Right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. The reason I was laughing at you, Jim tweeted something out and he used the word dominate, but he meant to use dominant
instead of dominant.
Yeah. On, you idiot.
Thanks.
But the reason I'm laughing at you is you're giving the Super Bowl score at 5:33 Pacific.
Who cares?
Exactly.
What do you want to say?
Here's what I would say. Here's my update. Here's my update. I haven't mentioned this one time today. Here's my update. Aztecs tomorrow night.
Okay.
Are you putting that in?
No.
So that's bad.
Well, the Aztecs play tomorrow night, so I was going to put that in tomorrow's update.
Okay, but I had one other thing that has to be in there. Absolutely has to.
What?
I don't know. Let me see. There was something earlier that absolutely has to. I mean, Luka. I'm putting Luka's in because
that in there.
I wasn't listening.
Yeah, Lakers.
I know.
What? AD's out for a month.
Oh, Tiger's not in the Genesis at Torrey. I remember my first time doing an update.
Yeah, that's a good one. I missed that. Sorry. It's a big one. Sorry.
It's huge.
I know. I missed it.
Actually a significant story.
That's actually
in
a
San Diego
story that we
where he's
probably
won
should have
8
talked about.
times. They've moved his event.
He said he was going to
participate. Now he has the reason isn't because of his health. It's because of the passing of his mother. It's what he used. That's what he said today. Not because of his physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the passing of his mother. But anyway, that is this week. And is it not supposed to rain in San Diego this week?
I believe it is.
This week, but I don't know about the weekend.
Well, that's going to make the course a little tricky. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just other than that.
It's fine. Tournament starts on Thursday.
80% chance of rain. Yeah, should be nice.
Well, for people out there that specifically got tickets to the Genesis Open because Tiger announced that he was going to be in it, oof.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just reading more about this right now. I mean, this is interesting for Torrey because Torrey's going to have 2 PGA events in 4 weeks.
Yes, obviously because of fires in LA.
Yeah, and they moved this. This event is typically in the Palisades.
Yep.
Right? Like this event is truly in the Palisades. So who knows if it even returns next year. But kind of a unique situation for Torrey. Torrey's had 2 events before. They had the U.S. Open, right? Twice, 2021 and 2008. But it is a unique situation. I'm sure a lot of our listeners will be there this weekend at Torrey.
Are you just going to laugh at me because I missed the Tiger Woods story?
Well, no, not just that. Like, again, if I was like an update critic.
But I'm not.
Which I am.
Okay, that's great.
I would not ever, if I was doing an update, he's like looking off. If I'm doing an update, let's be clear. There is no world in which I'm mentioning the Super Bowl the day after the Super Bowl.
I would have.
Now, here's what I would say. Philadelphia will host a parade on Friday, or the Eagles are the favorites at ESPN Bet. I'm making it
parade
up.
For what?
For the Super Bowl.
How would you know they would need a parade if he doesn't mention the score?
You always have to forward promote the story.
You're assuming everyone watched the Super Bowl yesterday.
They did. I just gave you. It's the most watched TV event in the history of the world.
I had some friends that didn't watch it.
Most of our, if there's a listener right now that does not know who won the Super Bowl, please call 877-767-4760 or 70470. Start with team. Did you mention Luka?
Yes, I mentioned him every update.
I haven't been listening.
Great. So you're critiquing my update, which you're not listening to.
What is your expectation here tonight? We talked about it during the wrap. Is it going to be like this all-timer tonight for Luka? He hasn't played in 6 weeks?
They are sure as hell rolling the red carpet out for the guy.
T-shirt night.
They already had multiple ads running. I think my brother texted me. I don't know if this is true or not. Is Dirk going to be there tonight? That'd be something. If you're a Mavs fan, you're like, what the hell?
Right.
Tell you what, for a guy that supposedly, according to reports for the Mavericks, was too fat and out of shape, looks pretty fine in a suit. Now, again, we're going to see him on a court.
I mean, the guy's brilliant.
Yeah,
we know that. He's brilliant.
I wouldn't be surprised if you get a good Luka game. That's what the stars do. That's what the all-time greats do. They show up in big moments.
Isn't that amazing, though?
And I wouldn't be surprised if the first basket tonight's by Luka. And I wouldn't be surprised if Luka puts up damn near a triple-double either.
Right.
But again, he's probably going to be on a minutes restriction because he hasn't played in a while. So maybe he doesn't get enough time to do that. And maybe they don't need Luka to be that right away because they've been playing so great. But eventually, in a couple of weeks, once Luka gets his legs underneath him and gets the offense down and gets integrated into their system, Lakers could be a problem, man.
What is Tuesday, February 25th going to be like at Staples when Dallas comes to LA? And what is April 9th going to be like in Dallas?
The April 9th game will be
a complete debacle or a celebration.
It
of
won't
Luka?
be to the level of the first time when LeBron returned to Cleveland. That's like an all-timer.
Yeah, but it's not going to be because Luka's getting
No.
booed. It's going to be because of the reaction of like the fan base of the trade.
Did you see the crowd outside of their arena?
I did.
Now that's hard to. It's going to be hard to keep up. Like the fans are eventually going to. That's going to stop happening
months later, right?
But you'll get a loud ovation for Luka. Everybody will love Luka because it's not his fault. He wanted to stay there,
right?
And I'm sure you'll see a lot of "Fu Nico Harrison" signs.
No, definitely.
Why do I want to say?
How about the press conference? I know you talked about this last week, but in just seeing some of the stuff on social media, how about the press conference with Jason Kidd? It was like, yeah, me and Kidd are aligned. I like everything. I didn't tell him, but man, we have the same vision for like what we want to accomplish. Like, you do?
He's like, what
this
you
is
say?
part of your vision?
It's like, huh?
They're aligned as in they're going to be in the same unemployment line here in about 2 months.
I mean, you talk about a big bet on what? Yourself, I guess? Like, what are you betting on?
And you've already lost AD after 2 quarters.
Yeah, for a month.
And
with 2 months left in the season.
And you lose a month, and that month was big because you're at the bottom of the Western Conference right now.
That's right. What were they, the 8th seed or something?
No, they're like the 10th, 9th.
Right.
I mean, you're like a game out from missing the playoffs.
Right.
Lakers are firmly in right now, half game behind, I think, home court, the 4 seed.
You're right. Dallas is a game and a half up on being out.
Yeah,
game and a half up on being out.
And you've now lost AD for a month. Now, granted, the Mavericks looked incredible with AD out there for the first 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters. But they gotta get there. Now, if they do get there and AD's healthy and they play like that against anybody, like they are going to be a tough out.
Are your Warriors going to shock the world at 26-26 with Jimmy Butler?
Dude, I was not thrilled, to say the least, when they traded for Jimmy. It was, to me, almost like a desperation move. Like, we need to do something.
Right.
And then you watch the first half over the weekend, his first game, and they're down by like 25 points.
Right.
Like, oh, it's going to be a disaster.
They won, though.
They did. They won by 20-something points. It was an insane turnaround.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to work. I think it can work to like a degree, but it's not going to work to championship level, I feel like, unless they, in the offseason, get some more help. But in the immediate return, they do get an upgrade over Andrew Wiggins. And I just think it's going to be tough because they are now under a timeline. They have 2.5 years. And that's it.
And then it's over. Who do you take right now? 7-game series. Like you said, Lakers have played well. Oklahoma City's 42-9. Who do you take right now? Luka, LeBron healthy. Everyone's taking the Lakers, right? Even if Oklahoma City goes 66-16 or better, 68-14 or whatever.
You give me a fully healthy Lakers team against a fully healthy OKC team,
people are going to take the Lakers. Right?
I'm probably taking Luka because in his career, if you go and see, he has dominated the Thunder.
Interesting.
And if LeBron has it going one night,
Luka has it going one night.
I know stopping SGA, that's going to be tough.
No, that's a fair point, though.
But while the Thunder have a lot of depth, the Lakers have more stars. In the postseason, it's about who has the better stars.
What do you think it was like when Dalton Connect came back? Like, was that a weird conversation in the line? Like, hey, man. Right, had he actually left did he actually depart?
I would Hornets.
So.
Yeah. The Hornets tweeted out, "Welcome to Charlotte."
That's kind of weird, right?
Very weird. I think it hurts the Lakers because I don't much about Mark Williams.
But they don't have a center.
They don't have no size. So if you play against the Mavericks, Even the Thunder, like you got problems there.
You think it was awkward for him? What about Mark Williams?
Good point.
He has to go back and be like, oh, sorry, I'm fat, not out of shape, guys. I feel
physical.
I can't pass my physical, but somehow I still play.
Lakers tonight with Luka right here on San Diego Sports 760. Pregame coverage beginning at 7:15. We've got a giveaway for you on the other side. Australian Pink Floyd.
Love it.
Plus Jim's back page next. All right, Jon and Jim back with you. Will Brinson will join us tomorrow. CBS Sports.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
The way you said it.
No, I'm serious.
I know. I know. We love Will, but the way you said it, it didn't sound like that for some reason. Like if I listen back to the way you say, like, oh, can't wait for that.
All right, let me do my sarcastic voice. Can't wait for that.
Right. Okay.
The voice I just did. Can't wait for that.
All right. So Will Brinson back with us tomorrow.
Yeah.
4:00 hour. And then Aztec basketball tomorrow night, 8 p.m. pregame coverage beginning at 7. Simple as this, must win. From an at-large perspective, San Diego State has to win tomorrow night against. Yeah. I've been nervous for like weeks on end. I am super nervous. Everything makes me nervous though.
Every game,
just everything.
every matchup.
I get nervous pumping gas. Like, what if the gas falls out?
Wait, seriously?
No.
What if the gas falls out? What are you talking about? What if the gas falls out?
When I was younger, I didn't like pumping gas.
Why not?
It's a production. What if I mess up? What if I get 93, but I'm supposed to get 89? Or
when I went back to,
what do those numbers even mean?
It says it very clearly.
But what are the point of those numbers?
To make you spend more money.
I don't know.
All you have to do is not put diesel in your car, John.
I'm cool with it now.
When my first trip to Jersey,
yeah, they pump it.
I was blown away that they just pump the gas for
Isn't that
you.
incredible.
I love that.
They used to do that in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I was like, wait,
especially
what?
good in the Midwest and the East when it's cold.
I know.
You know.
I told Erin, like, do I tip this guy? And she's like, no,
maybe.
No,
I tipped him.
Did you?
I did. I felt bad.
Isn't that amazing?
I didn't feel bad. Let me say that. Let me rephrase that.
Here's the thing, though. It sounds good. It sounds good until you're like the 8th in line to get your gas.
Well, I wasn't 8th in line. I was 1st in line, and it was amazing. I loved it.
It's terrific. All right, let's get to it.
Were you here when we started talking about the asteroid?
Nah, I don't know. Did it hit? It didn't hit.
Well, obviously it didn't hit. We're still here.
Well, yeah, no, I wasn't here, but it has like a 1 or 2% chance of hitting us in 2032.
Well, the percentage of it hitting us keeps going up and up and up.
To what?
So at this moment in time, as of 2 days ago, NASA officials are now reporting a 2.4% chance of an asteroid striking Earth in 2032, up from 2.3% chance a few days ago at the time of this report. This equates to a 1 in 42 chance of impact with a 97.6% chance likelihood that the asteroid will miss. The asteroid is estimated to be between 130 and 300 feet in diameter.
Yeah, but you know my theory.
What's your theory?
Hear me out. If there's a 2% chance, just round number.
You're not getting on a plane.
Well, I'm not getting on a plane at 2% chance. But hear me out. If there's a 2% chance an asteroid hits Earth, 70% of Earth is covered in water.
Bro.
So just hear me out. So there's only then a 0.6% chance it hits land. Now there's 7 continents.
Mm-hmm.
This continent being, so you're down to like 0.09. Here's the other thing. If it hits, they're going to know where it's going to land because we're 8 years out. So wherever it's going to land, just get away from that area.
Okay. It's going to land in LA. Just move.
Yeah. Here's the number for you, John. You 100% haven't seen Armageddon.
Yeah,
So they explain in there what would happen if it would land in the ocean.
Also, here's the other thing. Can't they just deflect it like those video games?
They also try that in Armageddon.
If it does,
Armageddon will answer all your questions.
If it does impact Earth, I would think hitting like ocean would be really bad.
Why?
Because it's going to cause
tidal
like
wave.
a massive tsunami and floods.
We'll go inland.
Now, if I were wanted to,
I don't want it to hit here.
If I were to pick somewhere for an asteroid like hit, give me a desert like terrain.
A desert terrain?
Yeah, no.
Give me the ocean, middle of the ocean. Nobody's out there.
John,
nobody lives
if
there.
this thing hit like 200 miles off the West Coast,
well, that's not ideal. I'm gonna hope that it hits elsewhere. Here's the ideal scenario. It misses.
Yes, it misses us, and we
First
don't
of all,
die.
it's in 2032. So AJ, first of all, you only have these guys under contract. Yeah. This team's getting older.
Well, I think Manny's under contract for longer than that.
Whatever. Win by then is the point.
The only way we're going to get out of the Xander contract is a freaking asteroid hitting Earth.
But here's the thing. The Padres at Fangraphs have a 0.7% chance of winning the World Series. And this asteroid is 3 times more likely to hit Earth.
Correct.
Who do you have more faith in, Fangraphs or NASA?
Pacoda.
Well, Pacoda's not.
Zips projection.
Pacoda's not favor the Padres either.
What are we even talking about?
An asteroid.
So what's the point? It's more likely to hit us. Great.
The percentage chance of it hitting us, I keep going up.
Who cares?
And you think it's going to be?
It's like the asteroid just signed Connor Joe. The percentages went up.
I think this is to sell papers. There's nothing. Nothing's
papers?
happening.
You remind me.
I go outside every day. There's no asteroid.
All right, go watch the movie Look Up on Netflix. You are doing exactly that right now.
How so?
In the movie, spoiler alert, there's an asteroid on its way to Earth, and scientists are like screaming, "This is the apocalyptic asteroid," and no one believes them.
Exactly. Because what can we do?
Well, in the movie, they thought that they could mine the asteroid for like money, and that didn't work.
I'm not going to worry about it because I'm outside. This is outside my realm.
The movie's a giant satire movie, so take it for what it's worth. Moving on.
Are we going to go to work that day though?
Probably.
Okay.
Some of the most bet on prop bets of the Super Bowl this year all missed.
Okay. Such as like Barkley touchdown.
Saquon Barkley over 111.5 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes over 5.5 rushing attempts. Dallas Goedert over 48.5 receiving yards. I didn't even come close.
Yeah.
And then this one was probably the worst. Travis Kelce over 60.5 receiving yards.
So I would think casinos cleaned up sports books because those would be a lot of overs.
Yeah.
Those like high profile players would be a lot of overs.
Yeah. Those are the most bet Chiefs Eagles player prop bets at BetGM. That was wild. None of those hit. So anyway, finally, IKEA is offering a $20 3-course meal for Valentine's Day. For just $19.99 per person, the meal includes a starter, main course, dessert, and a mocktail. You can choose from tomato feta soup, Hungarian mushroom soup, a Caesar salad, or a house salad for the starter. The main course offers meatballs, Mediterranean salmon, or butternut squash ravioli. Lastly, the dessert options are cheesecake, chocolate cake, or what's a DAIM cake?
DAIM?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
This is not a VOGO situation again. I don't know what a
DAIM.
I don't know what a DAIM cake. Dame?
You know, man.
It's probably a Swedish thing.
A Dame almond cake?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what a Dame cake is.
I don't know either. I don't know.
I'm feverishly Googling this asteroid.
Knowing you should be like terrified.
It's true. I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of this game tomorrow night.
Like, I don't care. I don't want to live on Earth if there's a 2% chance of a killer asteroid coming.
LiveScience.com says it's a city killer. Okay, one city.
What city?
It's a lot of cities out there,
dude.
But I'm saying if we know, but if we know, we're gonna get out of there. We have 8 years to prepare for that.
Are they?
I don't know. I can't worry about it too much yet.
If the asteroid was going to come to Earth and there was like a San Jose State game on, you'd be like, hey, we want to watch the San Jose State Aztec game, right?
100%.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, 100%. That has like tournament implications.
Right. How does this impact San Diego State's tournament?
I can't lose 2 tournaments in a decade, one based on COVID, the other on an asteroid.
They're undefeated that year?
That's not good, dude.
What if they're undefeated?
No.
They're number 1 in the country.
Well, then that asteroid better hit in April.
The asteroid hits the year the Aztecs are number 1 in the country. Dude. That'd be so San Diego. Dude. Padres are about to win the World Series. It's game 5. They're up 3 games to 1.
Series canceled.
Asteroid next day.
All right. If you missed anything today, sportsst.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. Find us on social media at Jon and Jim. JONANDJIM. We're back tomorrow, too. We'll get you ready for Aztec basketball. The latest with the Padres from Peoria. Spring training starts on Wednesday. And Will Brinson, CBS Sports NFL writer, joins us as well tomorrow. For Bren and Jim, I'm Jon. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Okay.